There we go. All right. Making sure everything's cool. What's happening, family? It's your man, Mark Black. Welcome. Welcome to Sucka-Free Saturday. I am glad to have you all. Today, we're going to keep it business. We're going to keep it light. Well, relatively light for us anyway, because we're just going to have a little bit of discussion about some recent events. And then I'm just going to open up the lines and let people call in. I know there's been a lot of you that have wanted to call in and discuss various topics, but because of the heavy duty stuff we've been talking about, I've been unable to take your calls. Otherwise, the broadcast will last for hours. And so I appreciate all of your patience, and it's going to be rewarded today because you're going to get a chance to mention any subject, any topic you want to discuss. It's wide open, right? So with that said, let me first of all remind you all to check the description field of every video. There's links to resources, reports, etc. there, books, information, you name it. Also, if you haven't thought about it or haven't done so, consider becoming a supporting member of the channel. There's a join button. Click there, see what options work for you. Again, I understand my audience, we ain't rich, right? So if you can call it. It's definitely appreciated. But if you can't, I understand that too as well. I'm gonna still provide you the same good broadcast, same service, the whole 9 yards, right? So without further ado, gotta do the greetings. Let's do that. First of all, shout out to Lionel. Brother Lionel's in the house. Jason Argonate, Darker Visions is in the house. Sister Lisa, by the way, thank you for the love right out from the gate. Salute to you, sister. Maiden Date, I see you, fam. Welcome to the broadcast. John, namaste. Welcome to the broadcast, fam. ADOS Roots, what's good, fam? Brother Michael's in the house. Sister Sherry is in the house. Miss Denny, my beloved Miss Denny's in the house. Welcome to the broadcast, fam. If you haven't shared this on your social media, make sure you do so. Brother ADOS, what's happening, fam? It's good to see you. Welcome to the broadcast. Today we're going to have a little bit of discussion here because as you all know, this week has been a motherfucker in a lot of ways, right? First of all, we got to talk about Texas. As many of you know, with the polar vortex, which I actually mentioned on a broadcast, like I think a week or two ago, mentioned that the polar vortex was coming and that people need to prepare for it, right? Boy, do I hate being right. As we all have seen, Texas, along with a few other states, but primarily Texas, has gotten hammered by unexpected winter weather, right? Fam, I would be remiss in telling you if I didn't tell you that this is probably going to be the most expensive natural disaster that Texas has ever seen. Even bigger than Hurricane Andrew and the whole 9 yards. Now, there's a lot of folk that's casting about for blame, right? Who do we blame? Because, of course, you know, after you realize the fuckery that's going on.
For your efforts.
Thank you, Ms. Denny. I appreciate the love. When you realize the fuckery is going on, the first thing you want to do is figure out who is accountable, right? Who is it that we got to go after? Not necessarily fixing the problem. I don't know why that is, but, you know, that is what it is. At any rate, people are casting about, looking for who's to blame. Now, before I even talk about that, listen, by the way, shout out to Cool Ump. Welcome to the broadcast, fam. I see you. One of my supporting members. Love you, fam. We need to talk about what happened. Essentially, Texas experienced winter weather on a level that it never really experiences. Combine that with the fact that most of the construction in their area is designed to keep places cool as opposed to warm because of the nature of the weather there. Along with the fact that Texas, their power companies and things like that are completely unregulated. Like, they talk about this group ERCOT, but ERCOT's not really issuing any regulations telling power providers how to do anything in Texas, right? It's completely unregulated. Combine that with the fact that, well, it's Texas. They want to be independent, right? They're the Lone Star State. And you have a recipe for what looks like, again, as I stated, the greatest natural disaster, or I should say the most expensive natural disaster in Texas history. When this is all done, this will run into the tens, if not hundreds of billions of dollars to fix all of this. There has been loss of life. I've heard stories of children freezing to death, homeless people, of course, on the street in an area where, if charity exists, it's minimal because Texas. Yeah, there's been loss of life. There has been huge loss of property, water pipes bursting in people's homes, loss of foodstuffs due to power outages. And fam, if you ask most people, who's to blame for all of this, right? They'll point at maybe a governor, like Governor Abbott. I'm certain he holds some blame, right? There was a mayor in Colorado City, Texas, who posted a post on Facebook, fam, that if you haven't heard about it by now, I recommend you go and do a search for Tim Boyd. The shit he said in the midst of this horrible tragedy in Texas should have any sane, rational, reasonable person looking for his ass. Like, seriously, looking to ensure that he never has the capability to speak on anything ever again. He basically equivocated people demanding power that they pay for, demanding heat that they pay for as a handout. He said things like, the strong will survive and the weak shall perish. He said that if you did not prepare to take care of your family in an environment such as this, then you deserve to die. And Cool Org said, right message, wrong time. I don't think there's ever a right message. Or I should say, this ever will be a right message. Because it belies, or I should say, it belies the fact that we are social creatures, right? There is nothing that any of us do that is truly alone. By the way, shout out to More and More Books. Welcome to the broadcast. I watched a story of this white man who wanted to go out into the wilderness of Alaska and live alone, right? He wanted to homestead out there in the wilderness of Alaska. And he actually ended up dying out there. Yeah, he froze to death out there. Because what he failed to understand is that even people who go out in sticks and homestead usually tend to go out and do it in groups. By the way, thank you, Sister Sherry, for the love. I appreciate it. No person is an island. And so to say that only strong people deserve to live and weak people should die is immorality on a scale that is nearly incomprehensible, but definitely unconscionable. Think about this, fam. I live in the Pacific Northwest. Here we get a lot of rain in the wintertime. It's pretty temperate. Doesn't get too cold, doesn't get too hot, right? However, by the way, shout out to my esteemed brother Double C. I see you, fam. Welcome to the broadcast. However, we get windstorms up here fairly regularly. And when I say windstorms, fam, imagine, if you will, 70 mile an hour sustained gusts over the entire area. Not just in a city, or on the coast, but pretty much all of Western Washington hammered by winds. We have power outages, sometimes for days on end. And this is an area in which we live where they know this shit is going to happen. They know that windstorms are going to come. They know that we're going to have these things occur. And yet we still experience power outages, sometimes for lengthy periods of time, across wide swathes of Western Washington. Texas, while there's a whole host of people that made billions of dollars who should definitely be accountable for the fact that they did not weatherize the grid, did not make the investments needed to ensure that should something like this occurs, that it's able to be addressed. The fact is that Texans haven't demanded that. You know, fam, I talk all the time to us as black folk about the fact that we will have the justice we demand. We will have the peace that we take. We will have the righteousness that we demand. No more, no less. Why do I say that to us? Well, the answer is simple, fam. Because you can't have anything without a demand. Like, there's nothing that you can go do without first having a desire to see it done. Right? It'll be easy for a lot of our Texan brothers and sisters down there to blame the government, and the government does share plenty of blame. To blame ERCOT, to blame the power companies. And also there will be a lot of blame for the federal government too, because the federal government is now going to be throwing our tax money at Texas. So they were able to prosper in the times when there was no need to weatherize and to prepare for a time such as this. They were able to collect billions of dollars in power generation money and so on and so forth, right? But now that it failed, of course, we're going to bail them out. So even sitting down there in Texas with this idea that only strong survive and the weak shall perish is fucking bullshit. Because the fact is that nobody down there that should be held to account for what's occurred will be. Instead, what will happen is they will be bailed out. One thing that I would like to remind my angry black sheep and America in general is this. In America, we do have socialism. But we have socialism for the losses. So in America, all of the gains are privatized. Any profit, any gains are privatized. They go in somebody's pockets. The cream is skimmed off the top and it goes into somebody's bank account. But now the losses are all socialized. Whenever there's an L that these motherfuckers hold, they don't have to hold it. The losses spread to everybody else. Whenever they say free market should take care of shit, the free market, let the market decide. That's all fine and dandy when you want 15 different types of ice cream on the shelves. But when you're talking about shit like, food distribution, power generation, and shit like that, letting the market decide is not necessarily the best damn option. Sister Sherry said, I just watched a documentary on how game theory is being used against us. We've been programmed to be self-interested and apathetic. I couldn't agree more. I posted a post up on Twitter earlier today where I said Americans speak English, but their language lacks a word. It's like Americans, especially white Americans, speak English without the word to. T-O-O. Like, I'll give you a case in point. When black people say that, hey, Black Lives Matter, we are not saying that only Black Lives Matter. We're saying Black Lives Matter too. They matter also. They matter as well. But because Americans lack the reality, the referent for the concept of the word to, they can't even hear it when it's implied. So they have to come back with shit like, well, all lives matter. No black person said that other people's lives didn't matter. What we're saying is that our lives fucking matter too. Like, we treat other people as if their lives matter. Black people demand that we be treated as if our lives mean something, as if they matter. Also, too. They can't fucking hear you. When we say black power, we're not saying necessarily that black people should be the only people with power. We're saying black empowerment for us too. But because Americans lack the referent in reality to address the concept of two in their heads, what they hear is, well, how come it's okay to say black power, but it's not okay to say white power? Because white people have power. We're not saying that nobody should have any power other than black people. We're saying black empowerment too. Black rights too. This is important to note, fam. Excuse me. Because after all of this shit in Texas is said and done, the people that are to blame are the same people that they see when they look into a mirror. Now, I know Texas has liberals and conservatives, right? It ain't all Texans, right? I'm going to hear not all Texans are like that, right? But the fact is, fam, is that Texans chose and still will choose after this to live under a government that tells them that the government doesn't need to do shit for them. You know, the most blindingly nutty thing about former Mayor Tim Boyd's diatribe was, fam, was that it was the mayor. So here he draws his living from the tax money of the citizens of Colorado City, Texas. They cut him a check. In return, he pretends to run the show. And the reason why I say pretends is because in his post, he told them, city and county governments don't owe you a thing. I am not the sharpest tack in the box, fam. But if you have a mayor who says that the institution that he's in charge of is not required to do anything for you, a logical question then becomes, what the fuck do we need a mayor for? Right? See, people, I am glad that as an angry black sheep, we focused on critical thinking, on asking difficult questions and demanding answers for them. Because the fact is that you cannot elect people to government whose ideology is that government does not need to do anything for you. What is the purpose of electing these bastards into office When they make it clear that if you give them power, they will wield it on their benefit, on their behalf. Because remember, the strong survive and the weak shall perish. So you've just empowered them, making them strong. So they're going to be all right. But as for you and yours, to perdition with you. So you elected us and you gave us power and authority. Great. Now go fuck yourself. If the government is not required to provide you power, if the government is not required to make sure that you have safe living conditions, right? In other words, they got all these building codes, but there's not one single building code in Texas that says weatherized for all weather. Like, you would think that regardless of what type of weather they normally get, that the building codes would regulate that there would be building for all weather types. This is not to say you need to be building as if you live in Alaska. But this is to say that you should have more in your house than PVC and motherfucking drywall. This is to say that even if it's 1 in 100 years, you should maybe prepare for the opportunity or the possibility that it might be freezing fucking cold where you are. Just on the off chance that it may happen. Right? Like, like I said, gas has winter blends, right? Like, shit, even gas, the gas companies know, hey, we got blends that we can send to places in case it gets super cold. And we got gas that we can send to places where it's just normal temperatures or even hot temperatures, right? Mercantilism is a bitch because capitalism is a direct offshoot of mercantilism. Capitalism was basically the democratization of mercantilism. So instead of, these big oligarchs, these single oligarchs owning everything, they turned joint stock companies into oligarchs. They made corporations or corporate bodies of individuals into people and then made those people into oligarchs. So now your oligarch doesn't have a name, Sir Francis Bacon. Your oligarch has a name like Microsoft, Google, Apple, right? JP Morgan Chase. Your oligarch is a corporate body of oligarchs, all of which are there for one purpose by law, and that is to maintain their oligarchy and to benefit those who have contributed to the growth of the oligarchy, i.e. the shareholders. Mercantilism is a bitch, fam. Y'all need to study this shit. And I would say at this particular point, fam, that if we don't start preparing key infrastructure, when I say we now, I'm talking about us, Black Americans, the angry black sheep, ADOS, right? The Black American descendants of chattel slavery. I'm talking about us now. If we don't start developing key systems and infrastructure that does not depend on growth or profit, that is designed around sustaining, right? Sustainability, maintenance, and long-term thinking. You know the old saying, when white folks catch a cold, black folks get pneumonia. As shit in America gets worse for them, it is going to be absolutely hellish for us on top of the hell that we already experience. I have mentioned en passant, right, that I am working on a plan that I plan to present to you, the Angry Black Sheep. And I've not given any details because I don't intend to until such time as we've gotten the key educational principles, the key ideas that we need in order for the plan to work. But with that having been said, I can assure you that I spend every waking hour that isn't doing this, eating, sleeping, with developing ideas for infrastructure. I am looking at how to do low cost, if not free, building. I am looking how to develop water systems, rain storage systems, so on and so forth. I am looking forward to us communally coming together in intentional communities designed around our collective principles and organized around key ideas such as sustainability, maintenance, zero growth, in other words, no profit motive, and so on. Now, I will present that at its appropriate time. But I can assure you that if you're not already thinking about getting with other Black people, you are already behind the 8 ball. If you have adopted this idea, this cold, heartless idea that it is your own personal strength, or maybe at best the personal strength of your family, that determines your success, you are going to have a hard road to hoe. A real hard road to hoe. Because I can guarantee you that for all you lone wolves out there, all you are ultimately in the collapse of society, all you are is a stationary resource for groups. I'm not kidding you, fam. All you preppers out there that think that I'm just going to get off the grid and it's just going to be me and my bunker, all you're doing is storing up resources for a group to come take from you. Because I can guarantee you, that's what's going to happen to you. I'm a big fan of the Game of Thrones, or at least I was up until like season 7, season 8. It's just complete bullshit, but I digress. At any rate, I was a big fan of Game of Thrones. And there's a character, she's a noble, right? Her name was Sansa Stark of House Stark. And Sansa Stark said something that I think resonates, or should resonate, with everybody at this point. She said, when the cold winds blow and the snow falls, the lone wolf dies, but the pack survives. I need y'all to understand that it's time to tribe up. It's time to pack up. Seriously, fam, it is time to pack up. Fuck all your hopes of being a mimetic oligarch, of being a mimetic capitalist, right? All these dreams you got of owning your own business and, driving around in the nice fancy car, living in the big fancy neighborhood. No, you've been sold a bill of goods. There are a certain group or certain number of humans that will get to live like that. And the rest of us will either serve those humans as property, as chattel, or we will die. If we allow this system, with the entwining of government and economics, right? Because believe it or not, fam, I know this is going to blow a lot of you's mind, but the Constitution doesn't say shit about what economic system Americans should operate under. It literally doesn't. The only thing that it talks about is that Congress has the power of the purse, meaning that they can apportion government funds to different shit, and that the government retains the right to create currency. Those are literally the only economic things that the Constitution talks about. By the way, shout out to my beloved sister Cynthia, one of my supporting members. Welcome to the broadcast, fam. It is good to see you. The Constitution, fam, doesn't care if we live under socialism, communism, capitalism, oligarchy, plutocracy. Like, seriously, it doesn't care what economic system the people choose to live under. People would like to tell you that because the Constitution and the direct Declaration of Independence talks about, freedom and talks about, life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. By the way, shout out to my beloved sister Alma. Welcome to the broadcast, sis. That this means that capitalism is the only way. It's the American way. We've allowed propagandists to conflate an economic system with our government system. So now in America, you have the government you can afford. Because under capitalism, whoever has the capital is the ones with power. And since the capitalists can buy your politicians, then what the fuck are we having them there for? They don't represent us. They don't represent us, fam. People say the government's broken. It doesn't work for the people. That's assuming facts, not in evidence. The government works just fine. It's working for those it considers people. Stand by, fam. Stand by. Thank you, fam, for that short digression. I appreciate you. I want to remind you, angry black sheep, of something. How many of you, Papa one in the chat, if you've ever heard of Dred Scott? Papa one in the chat, fam, if you've heard of Dred Scott. By the way, shout out to my beloved brother Black Man 903, the farmer, the top gunner in the house. What it do? Sister Lisa's right as hell. All this shit going on is our get off the plantation opportunity. This is our wake up call. It should be. I'm serious, if you a Negro in 2021 and all the fuckery that's been happening hasn't woke you up to the need to connect with as many of your people as you fucking can, fam, I don't know what to tell you. Like you have bigger problems than Brother Black could ever help you with. But fam, back to what I was saying. Dred Scott. Those of you who have heard of Dred Scott know that Dred Scott was a slave who was transported by his master to a free state. And so there, he basically tried to live as if he was free. He said, I'm going to be free. By the way, shout out to Tab Liquor. Shout out to Sir Morgan Brown. Welcome to the broadcast. So, of course, he sued for his freedom in court. Case made it all the way to the Supreme Court. If you haven't read the majority opinion written by Justice Taney, I would strongly recommend that you do so. Because what was really interesting to me was that it didn't appear that the majority was actually in any way necessarily opposed to Dred Scott's petition. Justice Taney did not write as if he was a man who thought Dred Scott was less than. That was the strangest thing about that opinion to me. Justice Taney wrote about the history of the development of the Republic and the whole 9 yards. And what they ultimately determined was that there was no mechanism in the Constitution to treat Dred Scott as a person. Dred Scott, underneath the Constitution at the time, was chattel. He was property. When Justice Taney wrote that no black man has any rights that any white man is bound to respect, he wasn't saying that Dred Scott wasn't human. He was saying that under the system of government as it stood at the time, Dred Scott was not a person. Meaning that even if Taney found his argument to be moving, even if he looked at Dred Scott and said, wow, what a majestic man, there was no seeing him as a person. And that was why they made the decision that they made, which was also the reasons why after our emancipation, it was necessary to amend the Constitution with the 13th, the 14th, and the 15th Amendments. It was necessary to put into the Constitution the fact that we not only could be citizens, but we could be people as well. They had to institute a mechanism in order for America itself, and thus its citizenry, to have the capability to see us as persons with rights. Because only persons in America have rights. You want to hear something interesting, fam? More cases have come to the judiciary under the 14th Amendment for corporations than there have been for black Americans. Ain't that some shit? That's right. More 14th Amendment cases have been heard in the judiciary for corporations than for black American citizens. The local business down the street that's an LLC or a corporation has more rights than you. Seriously, they can go to court under this capitalist system with the means to be able to argue that they should be treated like people. That's why I said your oligarchs aren't called Sir Hillary or, Sir Francis Bacon or Christopher Columbus anymore. No, your oligarchs are not flesh and blood people. Your oligarchs are artificial persons, legal persons under the law. Your oligarchs are Microsoft, Google, the healthcare system in your local area. Those are your oligarchs. Agreed, Cynthia. There was no definition of what it meant to be a citizen before the 14th Amendment because you were automatically assumed to be a citizen if you were born here in America if you were not chattel. But they needed to clarify that using the 14th Amendment to ensure that we had citizenship. Amazon is your oligarch. Texas and other places like it with this political ideology that's married economics to government are living the fruits of their choices, of their votes that they've cast. This is the fruit of the votes you cast to empower people that have no desire, first of all, and ideologically are opposed to doing anything for you. Like in Texas and other places like it, the government legit believes that it is only there to empower oligarchy. Somebody asked the question earlier in the chat. Why isn't Texas burning that motherfucker up? Well, the fact is, in certain areas, they actually are. I've seen videos of people who have torn up their furniture and things like that to burn for heat. So, yeah, they are burning shit down. They're burning their own shit like they always accuse us of doing. Why you Negroes go out there and protest and burn up your own neighborhoods? How ironic. That would have struck a Mother Nature. The same shit that they claim is black culture they're doing now to survive. I find this whole situation to be filled with irony. I am enough of a human being to feel sorry for anybody in a bad situation, right? I am not going to sit here and pretend that hearing about the death of children freezing to death in the cold does not move me. Of course it does. But some of the greatest human beings that ever lived amongst us have warned us that by their fruits you will know them. A good tree bears good fruit, and a bad tree bears bad fruit. Good government builds good societies. Fam, I'm an anarchist. I wish we didn't even have a government. But I understand why many of you think you still need a government. So let me give you some tips on how to determine whether or not you have a good government or not. A good government has as its fruit a good citizenry. When you look around you at your fellow Americans, are you proud of what you see? Or are you scared of what you see? Are you afraid of what you see when you look at your fellow Americans? Set aside racism, set aside all that other shit for a second. Not to say it's not there. I'm just asking you to put on your American eyes for a second. The American part of Black American. When you look at America, are you proud of what you see? Do you see prosperous, educated citizens, safe children? Do you see good communities? Do you see sustainable environments with plenty of green space? Do you see adequate employment that provides not just the income but dignity? Do you see that when you do have employment, that you can live anywhere in America off of the most basic of employment? Do you see that? Do you see any of that? Do you see government that is responsive to you in both good times as well as bad times? Are you proud of what you see? Because if you are not, by their fruits you shall know them. Bad citizenry makes bad government. Bad government makes bad citizenry. The government you have is a reflection of the values you hold. As an anarchist, I believe that power cannot be trusted to one individual. It is only able to be wielded when it's diffused among as many people as you possibly can do it. In other words, if I am to be safe, I need to empower you to be safe. If I want prosperity, I need to empower your prosperity. If I want to be at peace, I need to make peace for you. Because to the extent that we work together to create things, we are more likely to maintain them. None of these things that we value are like mushrooms that just spring up and just exist. Justice isn't something that springs up. Peace isn't something that just springs up. adequate resources and access to resources and safety doesn't just spring up. These things have to be created. They have to be, work has to be done. Yet, continually, we elect governments that tell us that their job is to not do any of the things that we value. Why do I got to give Joe Biden my money? If Joe Biden's EPA, Joe Biden's FEMA, Joe Biden's HUD, Joe Biden's SNAP program, Joe Biden's TANF program doesn't ensure that the things I fund for them gives me what I need, why should I give them a penny? Why should you have to pay any taxes to any of these sons of bitches when they have made it clear that they're not obligated to do a damn thing for you? Why do you continue to empower them? Empower you and I. Take your efforts, your energies, your education, your desires, your goals, and direct them at me. And in turn, I will direct mine at you. And let us see what type of world it is that we can build together. Fuck Jim Crow Joe Biden. Fuck Chameleon Harris. Fuck Governor Abbott. Fuck Cancun Cruz. Fuck Gavin Newsom. Fuck all of them. The moment they don't do for you what they should be doing for you, what you empowered them to do for you, then you need to disempower them. Period. You know, my brother Jason said that he was just going to come out and say it, that the people on January 6th wasn't wrong. And I've said that too. I said the only problem I had with what happened on January the 6th was that they did it for Donald Trump. It's been long past time for Americans, Black Americans, white Americans, Native Americans, to get in the government's ass. Long past time. Like, seriously, like I'm saying, like the ass whooping is overdue. Like, that's not even controversial to say, fam. That's not wishing violence on anybody. That's a statement of fact. There is nobody that sits in your local jurisdiction for the most part that feels obligated to actually do anything to help you with the powers that you give them. And that only becomes more diffuse and less able to happen the higher up in government you go. By the time you get to the federal level, them motherfuckers don't even know who you are. They don't even care. America is law. Look, the United States government, Uncle Sam, the corporate body of politicians that rule on behalf of our owners, the oligarchs, have long been overdue for an ass whooping. Like, they've been long out of pocket. You can go and look at any time period you want and see that at every point we've empowered them to make exactly the wrong fucking decisions. For example, they told us that the Soviet Union was our enemy. When I was a boy, as an Xer, growing up in the 80s, I remember nuclear bomb drills in school where you would have to leave class, line up against the walls, sit down Indian style, tuck your head like this between your legs. I always was really interested in physics and shit and understood what a thermonuclear weapon was. So I figured that they had us tuck our heads between our legs and hold it just so that we could kiss our asses goodbye. I remember at night laying up being afraid of nuclear war. Like, here I was, a 13-year-old kid, And I'm not afraid of talking to girls. I'm not afraid of not hitting the ball right when I go play baseball or softball. I'm afraid that some idiot politician in D.C. is going to piss off some idiot politician in the Soviet Union, and I was going to wake up to a firestorm. We were told that America was the bastion of freedom, the shining city on a hill, and that we were going to break the Soviet Union if it was the last thing we did. Well, turns out that that's kind of precisely what happens. Now, never mind the fact that it also broke us in the process, right? That Reagan and Bush after him sent mental health patients into the street with no treatment, brought in crack cocaine into our neighborhoods and shit, creating traumas that many of us still experience today. Forget about all of that. We broke the Soviet Union. So why then do we still have the biggest motherfucking military on the planet Earth? Right? I mean, I can see having B-52 bombers and shit like that when the threat of nuclear annihilation at the hands of the communists was the thing. But Gorbachev and them said, man, fuck communism and all this old socialist bullshit. We good. We're calling it a day. They elected Boris Yeltsin, sorry ass, and said, fuck it. Republics were breaking off from the Soviet Union left and right. Where was our peace dividend? We won the war. They told us we were perpetually at war with the socialist republics of the Soviet Union. Where was the government that said, now that we won, we gonna live real high on the hog. All that money we was throwing into defense, and with Lockheed Martin and Grumman, Grumman Enterprises and Boeing and all JPL and all the rest of them, we're going to take all that money. We're going to have the best schools in the goddamn world. We're going to have the best healthcare system this country has ever seen. We're going to have the safest neighborhood that this country has ever, that the world has ever seen. Where was our peace dividend? We won the war. We fought the good fight like good citizens. We supported every goddamn thing this sorry ass government did, from killing fucking campesinos in Central America who just wanted to breathe a breath of free air without living under fucking oligarchies that murdered priests. Right? We supported all that shit. We supported the invasion of Grenada. We killed 3.5 million motherfucking Vietnamese just on a humbug that they might have something resembling communism. We've destabilized African leaders such as Lumumba, Mossadegh, Salvador Allende. America supported so much fuckery that you would at least think that at the end of it all, we'd see some benefit for it. But everybody on the planet hates us. Thank you, Thomas Sankara, Julius Nyeri, right? But at the end of the day, we get called imperialists, but we never saw any of the benefits of imperialism. It's not like shit got cheaper here in America because of the oil we took from Iraq. It's not like that even the most poorest American lived like a king relative to everybody else. The American citizenry never saw any benefits of from imperialism. We were the fodder that was used to fight these proxy wars all over the goddamn planet, smashing Gaddafi. You want to talk about some fucked up shit, fam? Texas voting in all these do-nothing governmental officials, saying you go down to Texas and ask them about Muammar Gaddafi, and they will tell you that Muammar Gaddafi was a dictator. Yet Muammar Gaddafi had as law in Libya that every Libyan had to own their own home. His own parents refused to live anywhere except a tent until every Libyan citizen had a home. Under Muammar's regime, education was free from pre-K through postdoc. You want to talk about liberation? In Libya, women were equal to men. Matter of fact, Muammar's personal guard were all women. And they weren't no punk motherfuckers either. These were women soldiers, fam. Trained to defend this man's life. In Libya, everybody had a chance to have a life of dignity. Muammar developed projects like bringing water into the Sahara Desert for free. Just cause the people need water. But he's a dictator. Meanwhile, we had Barack Hussein Obama, who watched our family in Flint poison a whole generation of children with lead and other contaminants under one of these Republican administrations. And at the end of the day, they got a slap on the wrist. But we don't live in a dictatorship. We don't live in a totalitarian third world country. In many black neighborhoods, the police are simply a corrupt paramilitary empowered to kill at will whenever they choose. If they don't have a reason, they'll make one. I watched a video the other day of a man being pulled over by a police officer. They had him handcuffed by the side of the car. One police officer was searching his vehicle, probably illegally. They probably didn't even ask the man. And then reaches in his back pocket and plants something in the trunk and then hands it to his partner. He got administrative leave with pay. I haven't heard anything else about it. But we don't live in a totalitarian dictatorship. We have two parties, neither of which give a fuck about the people. Seriously, the Republicans are at least open about it. The Republicans say, hey, we are here to put money into our friends and owners' pockets. The Republicans don't pretend that they're not here to serve the oligarchy. They make it clear. They say, yep, we're here for the oligarchy. The rest of you motherfuckers gotta pull yourselves up by your bootstraps. And the Democrats' sole claim to being elected into office is that they're not Republicans. Fam, if you had told me in 2017 that Joseph Robinette Biden would run for president of the United States of America and his only platform was that he was not Donald Trump. And not only would he run, but he would be elected by a pretty goddamn solid margin. I would have looked at you like you was motherfucking crazy. Fam, I would have looked at you like, what? Wait a minute. So let me get this straight. He's not going to actually have any policies to do anything to actually help people at all. Because I know Joe Biden. Trust me, when Catfish Clyburn told us we know Joe Biden. Yes, we know Joe Biden. We knew he wasn't going to do shit to actually benefit black folk. Right? So we knew Joe Biden. But if you were able to tell me that Joe Biden was going to be able to run and not do shit for white America, nothing they want, and that he only would have to run on one solid position. I'm not Trump. Fam, I would have laughed in your face. I'd have been like, you're cracked. You need to go seek help, mental attention. You're not wrapped too tight. Didn't we just live through that? Didn't we just live through a campaign where Joe Biden said nothing fundamentally will change? Meaning that the oligarchs are good. The owners are still good. Biden ain't gonna do shit. Not just for black people. He ain't gonna do shit for nobody, really. Oh, he signed a few executive orders and this, that, and the third. Okay, big fucking whoop. He gotta look like he's doing something, or we would all be in DC burning this motherfucker down. We ain't gonna do nothing of real substance to help Americans. And he was able to get into power on the fact that he wasn't Trump. Even though he's just as Republican as Donald Trump. Matter of fact, I would argue, fam, that Jim Crow Joe was actually more Republican than Donald Trump. Because when you ask Jim Crow Joe about your stimmy, which it shouldn't actually be called a stimmy, it should actually be a fucking survival check. Because I can't speak for you, but stimulating the economy when I'm sitting here starving and not being able to pay my rent and not being able to pay off my debts and my bills, that's not stimulating to me. So when you go ask Biden about your survival check, Biden reminds you that Trump gave you some money, so he might give you some money. It ain't gonna be nowhere near what you need. But Trump was like, shit, reelect me, I'll make sure 2,000 go out. And all he wanted to do was just sign his name to the damn checks. Most of us got direct deposit anyway. I didn't even see a check. If that was all the president required was that we say, thank you, Mr. President, for some survival bread, damn it, I wouldn't have had a problem with it. Biden reneged. They went all through Georgia, everywhere, talking about you elect Ossoff and Warnock, and we gonna ensure that them $2,000 checks hit right away. So January 6th come, the election come, and Georgians elect 2 Democratic motherfuckers. Then all of a sudden, the 2K turned into 1,400. And it wasn't right away. It's like in a few months or so when they can finally get past the impeachment and all this other shit, you know. Right? Like they'll send you your survival check when they get around to it. You know, as long as Pelosi got enough ice cream in her $20,000 stainless steel refrigerator, I guess all life is good. Biden more Republican than Trump was. Trump didn't give a fuck. He was going to sign any legislation that hand out checks. I'm not kidding you. He was going to sign any legislation that was going to hand out checks. Biden, as the chief executive over a government department, the Department of Education. The Department of Education oversees the administration of student loans, right? Stafford loans, shit like that, is all headed by the Department of Education. That's an administrative agency under the executive. Joe Biden, with a single stroke of a pen to sign Joseph Robinette Biden, can completely wipe out everybody's student loan debt in an instant. He don't need to ask Congress. He don't have to kiss the ass of Mitch the Turtle McConnell or any of the Republicans. All he had to do is sit at the Resolute desk, scratch his balls, pick up a pen, and sign. But he ain't really with that. So his own Democrats said, okay, you don't want to get rid of all of it. We understand. How about you eliminate 50,000 of it? Right? So you just sign, you don't have to get rid of all of it. Just sign the paper for the good 50. That's a good idea. Marsha Biden, just sign the good 50. Jim Crow Joe told them motherfuckers, he said, I might do 10. I might do 10. I ain't doing 50. He told him straight up, I ain't doing 50. Wait a minute, what? Hold on a second. Pause. We elected you, and we said, this is what the fuck we want. And you just stand there like you own the place and say, no, I'm not doing that. Even though it's completely in your power to do it. Fam, don't let the Biden administration sell you a bill of goods. The Biden administration, Joseph Robinette Biden, is in charge of the Department of Education. He could erase student loan debt with the single stroke of a fucking pen and an executive order. He does not need to ask anybody's permission. He is the boss. The buck stops at the Resolute desk. He don't need to negotiate with nobody. He don't need to have a confab and talk about bipartisanship or any of that bullshit. And he told you to your motherfucking face he ain't doing it. Now again, black folk know that Joe Biden wasn't gonna do shit for us. Wait until the rest of America wake up and see that Joe Biden ain't gonna do shit for them. We know they play games with us. Look at the recent HR40 conference. That fucking shit show. You know, I thought that the shit show they had in 2019 for HR40 was garbage. Right? I thought that whole thing was like, what the fuck? You had, you know, what's the name? Coleman, Cruz, Hughes, and you had, what's the name? Burgess something, that little bootlick. What the fuck is that Burgess coon's name? I ain't never owned no slaves. I don't believe in racism. Well, black people just need to. You need to go get checked out for CTE, homie. The only motherfucker they had there that sounded like he might have made some sense. And this motherfucker was half asleep during the damn, what was the name of the actor? Danny Glover. Danny Glover was half asleep during the damn meeting. Sitting up there like this. With his old ass. You thought that was a shit show. Yeah, Burgess Owens. Thank you. This sorry rabbit bootlick, I ain't met a white ass, I ain't willing to kiss motherfucker. And now he's in government. Because again, people think that it's okay to elect the government as long as it don't do nothing for you. I'm still at a loss at how does that make any logical sense. But Sheila Jackson Lee outdid herself with this shit show of HR40. Herschel Walker, sorry ass. Like, okay, fam. Let's assume, for the sake of discussion, that Herschel Walker was considered authoritative in any other way other than tossing a fucking ball around and making little light-skinned sassy coons. Why does his opinion matter in any way? to our justice claim. Like, seriously, I can't even figure why even hold these hearings. Like, seriously, do you hold these hearings just to give black people a reason to be madder than a motherfucker? Like, to give us a reason to be even more enraged than we already are? Like, is Sheila Jackson Lee's job in Congress now is to every so often just troll black Americans? Because it couldn't be serious. There was nothing serious about this hearing at all. The bootlicks were in charge of the whole fucking thing. Their voices were the loudest. What up, Big Unk? I see you, fam. Welcome to the broadcast. The HR40 hearings, fam, was... fam, I wouldn't even say it was a circus. Because you have fun at a circus. Listening to Herschel Walker talk is like dipping your ears in molasses and trying to hear a motherfucker talk. And racism and the white folks and black people just what? How many times, fam, during the hearing, if you watched it, that you had this phrase right here in your frontal lobe, emblazoned across the forefront of your mind? It was a 4-letter phrase that was like neon. Like it was written in laser across your brain. And that 4-word phrase was shut the fuck up. Like Larry Elder talking is like listening to somebody take and drag Freddy Krueger claws across a chalkboard. Like the moment he opens his mouth, I'm just like, shut the fuck up, shut the fuck up, shut the fuck up. I would like to know what the point was of the hearing. There was no discussion on moving HR40 into markup, which is what we know all the HR40 needs in order to even be a viable bill, right? We see known scumbags like Mark Thompson, you know, minister, you know, attacking random motherfuckers in public, minister, coming back, crawling out of the woodwork like roaches. And you know, wherever he is, groups like In Cobra and shit like that aren't too far behind, you know, who would just love to get a job on this commission so that they can all lives matter our motherfucking justice claim. We be the first group of, you know, In Cobra's insistent on proving all of the stereotypes about Negroes right. By the way, shout out to my sister Strongflower. By the way, shout out to Pat A. And shout out to Since I'm Here. Shout out to Sister Adrian too as well. In Cobra and groups like them are here to prove all of the stereotypes about black people wrong. Because if they find some way to be able to administer, create, and get America to pass a reparationless reparations package, fam, that will literally be the height of incompetency. Thank you for the love, fam. I appreciate it. Welcome to the Angry Black Sheep. We are glad to have you. If these motherfuckers manage to somehow get a reparationless reparations package for black America, fam, I can't speak for you, but I'm openly telling you that I'm going to be in D.C. And I'm not going to be there talking nice. I'm not going to be there with a bullhorn. I'm not going to be there marching and protesting. If they find some way to take resources out of our hands for some sort of bullshit ass commission and apology, I'm going to DC and y'all gonna read about me in the news. No, Strong Flower, it will not be demoralizing. It will not be demoralizing at all. It will be the catalyst. Because at that particular point, fam, I'm gonna make them in me. See, black folk are afraid of the United States government killing us all. But the fact is, they always have had the capability to kill us all. They just haven't had the will. They don't want to do it. But if they find some way to bullshit us out of our justice claim, they're going to have to find a way to do it. I can't speak for you. They're going to have to kill Mark Black. Now, I hope that enough of you think the goddamn same. I hope enough of you think the goddamn same that in the richest country, so-called, on the planet Earth, that a reparation package is in any way going to be acceptable to the descendants of the freedmen. No, I'm gonna be on motherfucking John Lee Malvo shit. I'm gonna be on some motherfucking St. Christopher, St. Micah, St. Cosmo shit. I'm saying it openly and out loud. I'm not afraid. They take that from us, that would be a betrayal beyond anything that we could possibly imagine. We've imagined a lot of fuckery in the United States, fam. Nobody knows how much fuckery America is capable of more than black Americans. The rest of America is just now waking up to just how fucked up America can actually be. Welcome to the club. Because black folk have been your canary in the coal mine for the last 400 years trying to tell you how fucked up America can be, but you wasn't listening to us. We told you how they put programs and institutions in place to rob you of your rights, to steal your land from you, to make Bill Gates the richest to make Bill Gates the largest owner of agricultural land in the world. We've been telling you the experimentations they done on us, and we've been telling you about all this shit. And now America wants to have its nigga wake up call. Well, better late than never, I guess. But if we let Caribbeans, Pan-Africanists come in and steal from us what our ancestors bled for, what we've bled for, what we fought for, what we need, if we allow these bastards to take from us what is owed to us, what's the point? What's the point in living here? Let me ask you that, fam. They're not going to cut the check. White people, I'm not saying they're not going to cut it, okay? But I'm saying if they try to use HR40, the trick bag, to hem us up, and they're somehow successful at it, so they don't end up cutting us checks, they're already planning to not cut checks to Americans in general. And we are at the bottom, surrounded by a hostile government that is not here to do anything for us, surrounded by a hostile citizenry who's too busy with their nigga wake up moment to address ours. Why you want to be here and live in that anyway? And I'm not talking about repatriation to Africa. That's not going to save your black ass. I'm not talking about trying to find ways to live in Bali for $200 a month. No, that's not going to save you either. At some point, our great ancestor, Frederick Douglass's words are going to be acknowledged as the truth that they are. I will quote to you again the words of our great brother, our elder brother, an esteemed ancestor, Frederick Douglass, he said that find out what a people will quietly submit to, and you will know the limits of injustice that will be visited upon them. And that injustice will continue until it is stopped with either words or blows or both. Do you understand, fam, what I'm saying? I'm not talking about revolution against America. We're going to lose if we try to have a revolution against America. We don't have enough population. But we can kick America's ass around a few times. We can burn a whole lot of motherfucking government buildings the fuck up. We can do some real damage to these bastards. And we can make them understand you've reached the limits of what we're going to quietly submit to. Tricking us with HR40, using HR40 as a trick bag to create a reparationless reparations scheme for the descendants of the freedmen is a motherfucking bridge too far, fam. That's a bridge too far. I know Negroes is willing to put up a lot of shit from Uncle Sam. I get it. We have been the most American of Americans. We the only motherfuckers that actually believe in the Constitution. Even George Bush said that it ain't nothing but a goddamn piece of paper, right? We the most American of Americans. There's so much shit that black Americans have put up with from Sam. But let them try to deny us our justice claim, fam. Let them try to take reparations and hide it from us. I'm not talking about just not doing anything on it. We can continue to advocate. As long as they're not making any moves, that gives us work to do. But to shut the door completely, to make us subject to a reparations package, no. 1,000 times fucking no. 1,000 times no. That is a bridge too far. No, I don't have a backup channel, Strong Flower, because I'm no threat to YouTube. Hell, most of my shit's not even monetized. YouTube ain't paying me nothing. Good thing I'm not doing this to make no living. Unlike some. I'm here talking to my people about what we need to do to operate moving forward. Some of us is doing movie reviews on Judas and the Black Messiah. Those people will remain nameless. Some of us still wrapped up in beef, while some of us got our eye on the fact that we live in one of the most perilous times in Black American history because of the election of Jim Crow Joe Biden, the arch Republican, friend to segregationist, anti-Black warrior. And we the only ones holding him accountable. We the only ones speaking up about his fuckery. But you got people here who claim to be founders, leaders, bosses of Negroes, etc., who don't want to talk about none of this shit. Who don't want to talk about the fact that we just watched people freeze to death in Texas because of the idea of them electing a government that they elect to do nothing for them. To elect a president and a vice president that specifically said nothing fundamentally would change in an era where we need change, like we need air, like we need water, like we need food. And what is it that we have to do, fam? Our government is not coming to save us. Now, if you're a person that's into politics like me, that kind of hurts to say. Because I have been nothing but a political advocate for the last, in number of years, right? My whole channel has been nothing but political advocacy. Fam, we lost this go round. Actually, we didn't even lose. We wasn't even in the fight. Thanks to our leadership, thanks to those who founded the greatest push for reparations in the history of the United States of America, completely dropping the ball for fuckery and clout. We weren't even in the fight. So now we sit here and hold this big fucking L. And the times, fam, they are a-changing. Gone is the summer. Thank you, KS, for the love, fam. I appreciate you. Putting in on the Mark Black's Gotta Eat Sometime this month fun. Thank you. Them people that marched up on the Capitol on the 6th weren't wrong. Except they only did it for Donald Trump. They weren't wrong at all. Every single one of those politicians are treasonous. Every single one. They all are. Every single one. Name your pet politician. Is it AOC? You got a big thing for Miss Latina AOC? She's a traitor. She'll sell you out for a motherfucking seat on a committee. Was it Bernard Sanders? Bernard Sanders. Bernard Sanders was a goddamn joke from Word Say Go. Greatest goddamn sheepdog the Democrats ever had. Name your pet politician. They're all traitors. None of them uphold any principles that mean life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness for you. None of them. Not a one. That's hard to admit. Because what that means, fam, taken out to its logical conclusion, is that we will have what we build for ourselves. Now, I'm not on no bootstrap type shit, okay? I'm not saying we gotta pull ourselves up by the bootstraps and niggas just need to work harder. Nobody works harder than we do. But fam, you the only savior that I can expect. You the savior I've been waiting for. And I'm the savior you've been waiting for. HR40 is either going to be fixed, and I'll talk about on a later broadcast what we need to do to stay on their necks, but you really need to be following me on Twitter, because there's some heavy hitters that I got on my Twitter feed that are talking about fix HR40. Matter of fact, let me see. I'll go to this website here. Fix HR40. I thought they had a website. Maybe it's just not found in Google yet. But I'm going to try to get more information on Fix HR40. HR40 will either be fixed or it will be the singularly largest betrayal of Black Americans that the country's history has ever seen. I am hoping that it will be fixed. I am preparing for it not. Let me repeat that statement so you understand where I'm coming from. I am hoping that it is fixed. that we get a commission, not a commission to sit there and study whether or not we need reparations. We know we need reparations, but a commission to determine exactly what the fuck reparations is going to look like. How big the check going to be? What resources are they going to transfer to us? What new rules, programs they're going to put in place to ensure our protection? Because our biggest fight is going to happen the day after they cut the check. Oh, America's going to have it in for us like you would not fucking believe. And we're going to have to be ready for that. Or did you think that the reparations fight was going to be it? That once we got reparations, we good? No. No, fam. The moment after we get reparations, that's when the fight begins. How many of y'all watched The Watchmen with Regina King and you know what I'm saying? The Watchmen told you how it was going to go down. When black folks got reparations, white folks lost their shit. They had to lock them motherfuckers up in camps to stop them from just willy-nilly running around killing motherfuckers. And even still, they had an underground group that was killing folk. You thought that the reparations fight was going to be the hardest fight we ever had. No, fam, no. Our biggest fight will come the day they sign the check. The day they cut the check, it is on. And if we don't already have a plan, if we don't already have ideas for infrastructure, if we don't already have the means by which to make moves and that quickly, facts. It'll be Tulsa 1921 all over again, except all over the goddamn country. Or did you think that your white friends and neighbors was just gonna say, well, we're glad this whole racist thing has been taken care of. Let's just be brothers and sisters. Come have a beer. Is that what you thought? Because you have leaders who talk about the death of whiteness and the death of blackness. And I agree in principle that whiteness needs to die, that blackness in the sense of juxtaposition for whiteness needs to die, right? I agree in principle, but then I open my eyes and look outside my goddamn door and I live in reality. And in reality, whiteness ain't going no motherfucking where no time soon. I have no doubt that the louder white supremacists get in the United States of America, the more likely they're going to be to cut us the check. Because if nothing else, cutting the check to us will provide a wonderful distraction for our fellow citizens while they attack us and let the government still continue to pillage every fucking body. Y'all ever think about that at all? Did any of your founders or leaders tell you that our greatest fight was what's going to happen the day after they cut the check? Because don't get me wrong, cutting the check is a dope-ass slogan. Shout out to Jason Black for developing it. Cut the check. I even like that growl in his voice when he says it. Cut the check. I'm with that. But did any of them tell you that the day they cut that check, in the words of NWA, once again, it's on? Are they talking to you about developing real community as opposed to this ersatz pseudo community that we have just by default? Because what many of us define community isn't real community. It's simply the places that we've been redlined and segregated into. How many of your so-called leaders and founders are talking about bringing your money together, not to throw at some fucking politician that you know is likely to tap dance in front of your face, but sell you out once you empower them? But it's telling you to build your infrastructure. Not in a bootstrapper type of way. Thank you, Sister Cynthia. I appreciate it. Fix HR40.org. Let me pull it up. Here we go, fam. I'm going to go to the teaching screen real quick. Here it is. FixHR40.org. There's a petition there. By the way, I've signed it. You need to sign it too. Signing the petition don't cost you shit. But more importantly, you need to get up on your advocacy. All this bullshit, all this rancor. I couldn't give a good goddamn less about a movie review about Judas and the Black Messiah. I don't need a lawyer. Oh shit, I'm sorry. I wasn't even gonna say no names. But I don't need nobody posting up a review about a goddamned movie. What I need is somebody who's gonna be talking about the work that needs to be done. We held an L for the entire fucking election season. We can't afford to hold no more L's. They do need to be checked. Pure fuck shit. I need an attorney to give me his review of Judas and the Black Messiah. No, I don't. I need a Emmy-nominated producer to tell me that. Fuck that shit. I need an Emmy-nominated producer to get up off his ass and to help us fix HR40. I need somebody who's worked on the motherfucking Hill to tell us how we can get at the two Jewish cats and the person of immigrant descent that handles the committee for HR40. I need them to tell me that. I don't need to hear about block parties and divorcing myself from FBA and this, that, and the third. I don't need to hear none of that shit. You motherfuckers claim to be leaders, lead. But all I've seen is like our brother Elder Pharaoh says that their hashtag stands for arguing daily over shit. Where does work at? Where does advocacy at? The greatest push for reparations in modern day times. Where your interview with Nadler? You can tell me about Judas and the Black Messiah. You should be able to get in front of Nadler's face on a Zoom call. And say, Congressperson, we've got some motherfucking questions and you have some splaining to do. Because they trying to manufacture for us a reparationless reparations package. Yep, arguing daily over something. Argue this. I want to see a motherfucking interview using your connections on the Hill with Cynthia Jackson Lee. You should be able to at least talk to one of her staffers. Surely you got some sort of connection, right? You've been doing the work. We got our people being railroaded into homelessness in the era of the motherfucking Rona. We got people afraid to be vaccinated, and we got people that want the vaccine that can't get it because we're letting everybody else hop the line. Where's your advocacy? Where are these people's advocacy? Where's yours? Fam, because I can hold them to account, and you can hold me to an account. But where's your work? We got fam, we got so much to do. We got so much to do. Like, fam, this is the most exciting time to be involved with your people, to be in love with your people. This is when we need you the most that we probably have ever needed you. This is when we need you. This is when we need everything that you can bring to the table, fearlessly, unapologetically. If it's politics, it's politics. If it's electrical work, we're going to need that too. If it's agriculture and horticulture, fam, we're going to need that too. If it's nursing, fam, we're going to need that too. If you know some white folks that are allies, guess what, fam? I hate to be the motherfucker to tell you, but we gonna need them too. All you Negroes love to talk about the rules, the laws of 48 laws of power. What's Law 26? Keep your hands clean. What's subsection 2 of Law 26? Use a cat's paw. So you want to announce all over social media that you're going off to run and build an all-black city. And you wasn't expecting the Asians, the Latinos, and white folks to say that you're discriminating. Because remember, fam, America will accept integration as long as it's a little of us sprinkled amongst them. But they will never accept integration where it's a little of them sprinkled amongst us unless it's framed properly. Shout out to Engaging Black, by the way. Thank you for the love and welcome to the broadcast. Sister Monty, I see you. Welcome to the broadcast.
Showing some love. Keep up the great work, OG.
Thank you, fam. You know I will. So all you motherfuckers listening here talking about white folks this and white folks that, I got my issues with the Buckra, and I'm not under any illusions about when it comes to the Buckra. But if I can have Buckra that are on the team that are willing to be my cat's paw, to go out and make the deals that I perhaps would struggle to make, fam, let me show you something real quick. I'm going to try to see if I can find this. Here we go. Y'all seen this story? Let me see if I can find it. This story right here. This was recent. Black couple did some renovations on their house and shit to try to pimp it out. You know, because they've been listening to all the LLC Twitter. Because they still aspirational ass motherfuckers that think that, hey, a government that already said they ain't gonna do shit for you is gonna somehow make a fair playing ground for you, right? Did renovations on their house and was trying to sell it. kept getting lowballed on the price. So what did they do, fam? They got a cat's paw. That's right, fam. They got a cat's paw. They had a white friend that said, man, this is fucked up. Let me see what I can do for you. They called in their white friend. And the price of the house immediately went up 50%. We complain about the black tax, about why everything costs us so much, why we can't get this, why we can't get that. And that shit's all fucked up. And the government know it's fucked up, which is another reason why it owes us reparations. Everybody thinks that our justice claim is about what happened to our ancestors. No, fam. You and I are in many ways still the shoes that America runs in for prosperity. Reparations are due to us just as much as the debt that was owed to our ancestors. We're just here to accept in lieu of our ancestors what was owed to them. We're their beneficiaries, if you will. But even if you didn't give a fuck about slavery, Jim Crow, many of us listening to this broadcast were victims of mass incarceration, of the drug war, of the crack epidemic, of redlining of our communities, of ghettoizing of our communities, of denial, constant denial of job opportunities, of discrimination against us for home loans, for business loans. More black people were able to get SBA loans under George Walker Bush than under Barack Hussein Snowbama. It actually got worse for us. But they don't owe us no reparations. I never was a slave. And immigrant, you people, I wasn't a slave. And so white people wouldn't even own no slaves. Our government owes us for that shit. Joe Biden sitting there giving speeches talking about nobody should go to jail for drugs. So why aren't our people free? You ask yourself that question. Nobody should go to jail for drugs. Great. Then I want you to let my cousin that got locked up for 25 of the damnedest for an 8-ball. I need you to go ahead and send him home. I need you to have my auntie who got caught with simple possession because she was a drug fiend. I need you to go ahead and let her out, Jim Crow Joe. Nobody should go to jail for drugs. I'm going to need you to set my people free at a minimum. And I'm not talking about free with a $25 and a bus ticket. No. They need jobs. They need checks to get them into places or to help them pay for the places they're going to live. They need resources. They need, I don't know, what do you call money given by somebody to repair damages that were caused to them by that somebody? Oh, I got it. They need reparations. Everybody trying to tell you that reparations about slavery. I ain't own no slaves. Guess what? You don't have to. Because the government locks up Negroes on the daily and enslaves them on your behalf. I know. I'm a veteran. The uniform I wore, they call them ADUs now, but when I was in, they were called BDUs, battle dress uniforms, camouflage, made by prisoners. A lot of my mop gear. Mop gear is for nuclear, biological, and chemical warfare protection, made by inmates through federal inmates. Slaves. Yeah. But you're going to tell me that we are not owed reparations? The hell you say? White folk ain't went through half of what we went through with their opioid epidemic, and they're throwing billions at them. Seriously, fam. White folks ain't went to jail in the numbers over the opioid epidemic, over the heroin epidemic, and all this other bullshit. They haven't went to jail in the numbers that we did under the crack epidemic. Now they throwing billions of dollars at them in treatment. They throwing billions of dollars at them in housing programs, transitional living programs, 12-step programs. They're training them for jobs. Fuck trying to prevent recidivism. They're trying to make sure that white folks don't go to jail ever under their drug policies, under their drug epidemic. For us, it was lock them niggas up. But they don't owe us reparations. They literally allowed foreign nationals to traffic cocaine powder to people like Freeway Ricky Ross, you know, the guy who that Nimmy producer did a documentary about, or was a part of a documentary on. Gave Freeway Rick Ross and others like him the means to devastate the entire nation. The police turned their backs. Because don't forget, fam, for those of you who are Xers and who lived in the hood, you know that even at the beginning of the crack epidemic, we were still going through shit. But the cops were nowhere around. Y'all remember that? There wasn't no raids in our communities and shit at first. Nah, we had folk breaking into people's house, stealing shit to try to get crack to sell to the dope man. Cops didn't care. Car getting broken into 3-4 times a day. Cops didn't care. Your mama, your auntie, your cousins out there turning tricks on the corner for dope. They didn't care. They didn't care. The cops, fam, I know it's hard to believe, but there was a point in time when the cops actually let criminality just run rampant through our neighborhoods. I bullshit you not. Even when the murders started, right? The warfare over turf and shit like that started. At first, they was MIA. They were just posted on the news, another dead nigga. Or a group of dead niggas. That was it. It was just a mark on the 10 o'clock news. But once that shit finally got a foothold, when we couldn't dislodge it without help, when we couldn't do anything but turn to the people that we empower and say, look, we can't handle this. It is out of control. We need help. We need resources. We need to be able to treat our people. We need y'all to come in and get that poison the fuck out of our neighborhoods. We need you to stop the motherfuckers with the pipelines that's bringing it here. Oh, they fixed it all right. They fixed it by starting to lock us the fuck up. Called us super predators and shit. Said we had no conscience. We was amoral. Never mind the fact, fam, I'm going to let Engaging Blacks comment read out. Never mind the fact, fam, that after they farmed all the jobs overseas for globalization, right, for offshoring and shit like that, that you could make more money selling crack than you could hustling anything else. There were no jobs. Seriously, fam, there was no jobs.
It is sick how we were fooled in treating our own lower than dirt while the real criminals still roam our hood devouring our children of the night.
Absolutely, fam. Absolutely. Fam, it was cold how they was able to get our our parents. Because let's keep it full ass buck. Our boomer forebears sold us the fuck out. That's not hatred. I don't have to hate them to acknowledge that, fam. They sold us the fuck out. They took one look at the extras and saw we wasn't getting access to no opportunities, and it was like, oh well, niggas, you better find a way to get it. Here's your key. We were latchkey kids. A lot of millennials and Z's don't know what a latchkey kid is. Yeah, if you were an extra, you were a latchkey kid. You got a key to your house. And your mama and daddy was off doing whatever. They was smoking crack or partying or working or doing whatever. It was like, fuck you. Seriously, fam. Your job was to go to school, stay the fuck out of their hair, and brown the meat. Always brown the meat, fam. If you an extra, you know what I'm talking about. You know what I'm talking about. If you an extra, your job was to don't lose your house key so you can get in this motherfucker, right? Stay out of your folks' hair. If you had good folks, they was working, right? They had them good government jobs and shit. They worked at the post office. They worked for the IRS. They worked at different government agencies. They worked for the city and shit. So if you had good parents, they was working. The rest of the time, your parents was ripping and running the streets, sucking on a glass dick or chasing whatever their drug of choice was. Your job was to make sure you don't lose that house key, stay the fuck out their hair, go your ass to school, and make sure to brown the meat so I can do something to it when I get home to make your ass dinner. My family today is still blown away, fam, about how well I cook. I cook in my household. My wife doesn't cook. Nobody cooks here. My stepson is starting to cook. Shout out to him. He's starting to cook. And he's starting to cook really well. But I've cooked in every household I've been a part of. Why? Because as an extra, that's what the fuck you had to do. I have brothers and sisters, and I'm the oldest. I'm not only the oldest, fam, but I'm the oldest of my entire generation. I was the firstborn of my whole family's generation. All of my cousins were younger than me. So I not only was my mother's firstborn, but I was the firstborn of my generation. Fam, life was hell for me. I was responsible for everybody's bullshit. And I had to take care of everybody. I've been cooking, fam, since I was 6 years old. No bullshit. 6. My little short, fat, stumpy ass had to stand on a thing, like on a stool over the stove and cook food. I had to cook my brother and sister breakfast for school. Maybe that's why extras, everybody seem to think extras ain't bothered that much about shit. I noticed that some of the what's the term? Some of the critiques that are made about extras is that extras just don't seem to care about all that much. That's not true. Extras do care a lot. Matter of fact, I would argue that the extras are going to push this reparationship home because we younger than the boomers, so we still got some juice. We still got some life in us. We ain't too goddamn hidebound and set in our ways and decrepit to actually fucking fight, right? But we're also old enough to have lived enough of our lives to where if we lose it, while it's a loss, it ain't that great a loss. Like, I'm 48 years old. You kill me now, I done lived a good one. A fairly good one anyway. Long as my life can go to save my millennials, my Z's, the Zoomers, fair trade. But the reason why Xers seem to get critiqued as not really caring about much is because Xers, we just got too dedicated to just making sure that we maintain shit. And it's true. Xers are the ones who maintain everything. Xers is wiping the ass and cleaning up the mess of the fucking boomers. And Xers raised millennials and Zoomers, trying our best to give them a way of life we hadn't seen, that we didn't know nothing about. A lot of Xers are the ones who critique child rearing practices. A lot of Xers are the ones who ask open questions about our society. We care really deep. But a lot of our efforts is spent at just trying to make sure that you can have your maximum effort. And I do believe that it's time for us Xers to stand the fuck up. It's time for the Xers to stop being what they called us, the slacker generation, the do-nothings. Even though we were doing so much shit, it wasn't even funny. We got one more thing to do. We got fighting to do. This country ain't heard from us yet. But it's time. It's time to hear from us, fam. It's time to hear from the Xers. And if I got anything to say about it, oh, are they going to hear us? Especially us black Xers. Oh, they are going to hear from us. They sold us such a bill of goods, fam. You know, crack me up, the younglings say, you know, we got to have our own and do for ourselves and this, that, and the third. Never realizing that Xers were the first generation, black Xers, black American Xers were the first generation of Americans that have any substantive contact with white America and its pets. We were the first. Seriously. We grew up in a generation where they tried to tell us racism was a thing of the past. Damn, Lionel, I feel your pain, fam. Xers was the first generation that came after the civil rights movement. So they told us, hey, civil rights, all this racism shit is done. Y'all won. It wasn't just white society that told us that, by the way. It was our motherfucking boomer forebears who told us that. This was the myth that they told Xers. Fam, all you younglings out there who listen to me, who watch me, right? To show you can trust this old nigga right here, I'm going to give you the full scoop. You know the bullshit they fed to Xers? This is what they told us. They told us, go to school, get good grades, get an education, get a job, work there 20 years, and then you can retire and live nice. So Xers didn't get a childhood at all. Why do you think Michael Jackson went and bought Neverland Ranch? That motherfucker just wanted to be a kid. He finally got some bread. He just wanted to be a kid for a bit. Like, god damn. I've been working since I was born. Fam, my first job was 9 years old. My first job was 9 years old, cleaning up a fruit stand, making $1 an hour. But before that, I would hustle shoveling snow and cutting grass. I did that from like 6 years old to 9. And I even did a little bit when I grew up. I was unemployed for a while, so I went and got me a motherfucking snowblower and went over where the rich white people lived at. Said, hey, I'll take care of your driveway for you front and back for $40. Xers was sold a bill of motherfucking goods. We were told that America was the land of opportunity, that the civil rights movement meant that if you didn't succeed, that if you were struggling, that if you had it hard, it was just because you wasn't worth shit. And it wasn't just white America telling us that. It was black America telling us that too. Why do you think that they were so willing to throw us away? When Congress said, oh, we can fix this problem for you Negroes, and all it'll cost you is a generation of your kids being enslaved behind the walls of state and federal prisons. Why do you think our community said fair trade? We don't talk about that either. Why do you think our people said, yeah, that's good trade. Get these niggas under control. Lord knows I can't control them. They told us about a life that was a lie. After farming jobs overseas, pensions went away. You went from having what were called defined benefit. Look it up, fam. I would never lie to you. I know some people will tell you don't trust these old niggas, but this is an old nigga who ain't got no shame. I don't mind telling you about our mistakes and the shit that we fucked up on. When they farmed off jobs overseas, fam, pensions went from being defined benefit or DB pensions. That was when your employer put in a certain amount every pay period, and then when you retire, you got a set benefit till you die. So they went from defined benefit pensions to defined contribution pensions. You know, 401ks, 403bs, shit like that. So now it went from you having a job for 20 years, working your ass off, and retiring to a set benefit every month where you could maybe exhale, relax, you know, after having worked your whole life as a fucking black Xer. Now when many of us retire, we won't even have no money. To show you can trust me, fam, I don't have a single dime in a 401k. If I retire tomorrow, I'm broke. And I'm not the only one. I'm not the only one, fam. I'm not the only one by far. Many black Xers are broke, flat busted. If you looking for us to leave you an inheritance, we can't call it. If we don't build something for you now, we will have nothing to leave for you later. We can't call it. We worked our asses off. Don't get me wrong. Black Xers worked their asses off. We ain't got no pension. Oh, and Jim Crow Joe Biden and his ilk want to make sure to get rid of like Social Security, Medicare, and all that other shit. Because eventually that stuff's going to go away. So when we retire, we won't even have access to that. Xers, if you needed a reason to kick this government in the ass, I'm giving you your manifesto right now. Xers spent all this money on education. Even when I was in the hood, fam, I'm talking about I grew up in the PJs, okay? Where I had no right to have aspirations of wanting to be an astronaut. Even in the hood, education was everything. I'm not kidding you. They talk about black folk don't know enough. We not educated. Joe Biden said black people don't know how to search the internet to get on the Walgreens website to make an appointment to be able to go get the shot. Black folks need to play the record players for the children and teach literacy. Man, education was such a big thing in my community. If you didn't do shit else in the hood in the late 70s and the early 80s, you was going to take your ass to school. You didn't even have to worry about your folks fucking you up if you didn't go to school. Random ass adults from the community will go upside your motherfucking head. I remember coming back from school, getting off the school bus, walking towards my apartment in the hood, in the PJs. Shout out to Riverview. And getting quizzed by adults on the way home. What'd you learn today, boy? And you better have an answer, not if you say nothing. Xers, tell me if I'm lying. No matter what community you lived in, education was every motherfucking thing. If you didn't do shit else, you were going to go to school and get an education. That was literally beaten to every black ass I know. I'm not kidding you. Fam, if you came home with a bad mark on your grade card, nowadays you get a lecture. In my day, as a kid, you got your ass whooped. My stepfather had a set number of licks per grade. Like, if you had an F or a D, or, you know, like if you went to school and it was E, S, M, I, and F, or A, B, C, D, F, if you had a D, a low mark, or a failing mark, the licks start at like 5 licks. You didn't get a lecture because you got a bad grade. You didn't say, well, you need to tighten up your homework, son, and really work hard so that you can get better grades next semester. No. You got your ass kicked for every single bad grade. Fam, I got my ass kicked because I got a low mark in social skills. I was a nerd, and I believe to this day that I might actually be on the spectrum. I don't have no confirmation of that, but I was a very antisocial, introverted kid. I was really smart. I loved school. I loved learning. Even now, you can tell I love learning, right? But I just didn't know how to work with other kids. So I would bring home straight A's, except in social skills. Doesn't work well with others. I'd get a D. My stepfather would whoop my ass for that one D in social skills. Real talk. Like, social skills didn't affect what I learned. I was good. I scored high marks in math, high marks in reading and comprehension, high marks in English, high marks in every other fucking subject I took. But I wasn't that social of a kid and got my ass kicked. That's like the beatings will continue until morale improves, you know? Like, beating a motherfucker's ass is gonna make him, like, go and start approaching people. Yeah. We were sold a bill of goods, Xers. All this education. Many of us went to college or to trade schools. Ran up a bunch of debt doing that. And then never forget the fact that some of the shit that we studied back when we were with kids, all those jobs went away. So like I went to school. I dropped out of high school, got my GED because I was like, fuck school. I've learned enough here. Right? But I couldn't get no job because I was a high school dropout. So I said, fuck that. Let me get my GED. Let me try to at least get some job training. I went to a secretarial school, right? I wanted to work in an office. I didn't want to work digging in ditches and shit all day, right? So I went to secretarial school. Owed money because of that. They gave me Pell Grants and all of that, but the school cost just enough. Wasn't no private business schools. Like, you know, Everest and shit like that, costs just enough to eat up your Pell Grant. So you gotta borrow money to go. I was at least able to kind of parlay that into getting into the military. I used those credits to get into the Army. I took some training in the Army. But the job I did in the Army, there was no civilian equivalent for. So the first job I had when I got out of the Army was working at Radio Shack as a salesman. Back in the day when they wasn't selling like, Radio Shack's not really open around anymore, but they wasn't selling JVCs and Kenwoods and shit like that. They were selling their own little like store brand products that nobody had ever heard of. And I got paid minimum wage plus commission. But being an Xer, I always am about looking for opportunities. So I started learning more and more about tech. And I finally got into technical support. Started studying networking. Started studying about tech and how to put networks together and how to do that type of shit. Learned about telecommunications and about electronics. So I started getting jobs working in tech support that I worked for years and years and years. Sometimes I made okay money. Most times I didn't. Most times I trained my replacement, some Indian cat that they farmed the job out to over in India or over in the Philippines. But I'm an Xer, so the work continues. So I go back to school. How many Xers? Papa one in the chat, fam, if you an Xer and you went back to school, that your student loans are very recent. You went back to school in your late 30s, early 40s. Go on, Papa one in the chat. I cop to that. That's where the majority of my student loans come from, as I went back to school. Because I was thinking, okay, they said I didn't get enough education in high school. I tried to get on the job training, but there ain't no goddamn jobs. So I'm going to go back to school so I can be able to try to get me another job in the field that they hiring in now. I know I'm not the only one, fam. Many of your Xer brothers and sisters, they student loans is recent. They student loans is recent. Because they've been trying to fulfill what was hammered into our asses. Literally hammered into our asses. Get an education. Go to college. Get a good job. Work 20 years. And retire. And none of that is true. None of that is true. None of that is true. Who's to blame for all of it? At this point, fam, most things you can just look into a mirror and you can see who's to blame. Because the answers have always been there. It don't take Mark Black to run it all down for you. The answers have always been there. We got sold a bill of goods. We got told a whole host of lies. And we've seen that they're lies. No Xer that I know that isn't independently wealthy somehow is going to retire in any good fashion. We ain't getting left anything by our boomer forebears for the most part. If you're a black American, your boomer forebears done fucked off your inheritance on trips to Jamaica and shit to go get high and driving around nice cars and shit. You know, trying to put on the appearance of being as good as white folks. Yeah, they fucked off your money. You're a black Xer. You got nothing coming. But is it hopeless though? No. What we need is to tell the truth from now on. Texans need to tell the truth. What happened to them in Texas was a matter of them smelling themselves, believing the hype about Texas, the Lone Star State. We can go it alone. We don't need no government here. We don't need nobody trying to tell us how to rule or how to live our lives. We don't need no regulations. Here we do what we like. That shit works until the winter comes. Until the cold winds blow and the snow falls from the sky. Then all that damn guff and bluster about being the Lone Star State, about not needing no regulations, about I can go it on my own, all that shit goes out the window and your children freeze to death and your families choke to death on carbon monoxide. Your pipes burst and freeze and explode in your house with your water running down the street. Oh, by the way, the water you have to boil now because your municipalities who were unregulated, their pumps didn't work properly when the power went out, so they weren't able to process all the shit and poop and stuff that's in our water. All those myths go out the fucking window when the cold winds blow and the snow starts to fall. My brothers and sisters, my tribe's people, all these bullshit myths about us working harder than everybody else to get half of what they got and going back to school, and we just ain't done enough, and not code switching properly or playing office politics and all that other bullshit, fam. It's all a lie, because that all disappears when the cold winds blow, when the snow falls from the sky, and you, the lone Negro, dies. But the tribe survives. There's our answer right there, fam. There's our answer. The lone wolf dies, but the tribe survives. 360-602-2667. I done talked long enough. I want to hear from y'all. All these bullshit ass stories. Fam, I told y'all a long time ago, narrative stories have killed more Negroes than anything else in the United States of America. You got a whole generation of black people that are dying from mythology. Xers. We still believe in this bullshit. Why? Why? For the love of all things sacred, good, and true. Why? If anybody knows it's a lie, it should be us. There's a reason why people like Jason Black can say, don't trust them old niggas. Don't trust them niggas over 40. Because how stupid do you have to continue to be to know this shit is false? And still just put your nose to the grindstone. It done grind all the way down to the bridge of your nose. Your eyes are bleeding. Your forehead's getting scratched up. But you're still leaning in. No. Not today. This old nigga's gonna tell the younglings the truth. And I'ma demand that they hold me accountable. And I will hold myself to account to them. My fight isn't for me. Truth be told, I couldn't give less than a fuck if a boomer got a goddamn reparations check. Most Xers I can't stand this even. Most of them, you got your motherfuckers like Burgess Owens. He's bootlicks. He talking all that shit. But if that motherfucker got a check, you think he turned down a check from the feds? All these black ass motherfuckers like Larry Elder and Burgess Owens and all these sons of bitches that swear up and down that we're not due reparations. You think they're gonna turn down a check from Sam? Sam cut the check. Burgess Owens gonna be like, no, I can't in good conscience. I was never a slave. Oh, he would never talk that eloquent. He would say, no, I wasn't a slave. You know, I none of the white people. I can't. White people didn't do nothing to me. You know, Herschel Walker. You think he gonna turn down the check? Hell no. Herschel Walker ain't gonna be like, check for me, for being black, from Sam? Man, fuck you. He ain't gonna have his ass on his shoulders then. He gonna be looking at his bank account and counting the numbers. And his little sassy one, you know, the contact wearing little sassy conservacoon. He gonna be plotting about how much money he gonna get out of Dad's pockets, while claiming racism don't exist no more. Sister Alma's right. We need to act as if reparations is never going to come. I'm gonna fight for it. I make no bones about that. You come here, it is all advocacy all the motherfucking time. I don't have time to entertain you with bullshit like Judas and the Black Messiah. Can you give less of a damn about Daniel Kaluuya and all this, and Lakeith Stanfield, this, that, and that. Fuck that. Tell the story of Fred Hampton from the side of a traitor. Please. Like, in what world would you think that movie would be something that a black American would want to see? Fred Hampton, one of our greatest, best, and brightest luminaries. And you tell his story from the viewpoint of a motherfucker who sold him out. I'm still waiting to see how that was an idea that ever took off from the boardroom. Calling from 413. It's your man, Mark Black. What's your name? Where you calling from? And what's on your mind?
Hey, what's going on, Mark? Man, it's me, Double C.
Double C's, fam. Talk to me, man. Talk to me. Man, what's going on with you?
Man, you are on fire today.
You know what? I had to. I just had some shit that happened this week. I had some shit on my mind. And I had to share it with y'all, man. Now I want to hear what you think. What do you think about what's going on in Texas? This HR40 shit, whatever topic you want to address, fam. The floor is yours.
Okay, here's the thing. As far as the Texas of Cancun cruise blaming his daughter about taking a trip to Texas.
What a bitch.
Just say you don't want to be there.
What a bitch. You blame your daughter. I'm just being a good father by going to Cancun. Get the fuck out of here, man. Ted Cruz is a piece of shit.
If you let somebody talk about your wife on national television and you don't defend her, what do you expect?
Yeah. That man ain't got a permanent principle anywhere in his body. Like, seriously, that man has zero principles except to get paid. That's it. Ted Cruz is a man of zero fucking principles. Like, sometimes you'll run across a politician sees that at least, I don't know, like come off like they got something they believe in, right? Like, you can say what you like about AOC, but she has something she believes in. Now, she ain't gonna stand up and fight for it all that hard, but she's got principles. But Ted Cruz is a reptile. He's literally got zero fucking moral principles. He's willing to bend on anything. You can call his wife ugly. He don't give a fuck. You can tell him that he needs to be there fighting for his constituents in Texas while they freezing to death, while their houses are exploding from burst water pipes and shit like that. He off to Cancun.
Well, to be fair, I didn't call for Ted Cruz. That was just an aside. My main thing was that Toby guy that said, hey, your government got to do nothing for you, but you're getting paid with tax dollars. That you were voted in.
Cease, when I read that shit, the first thing that I did, sorry, I just had to go grab something to drink. First thing I did when I read that shit was laugh. And the reason why I laughed was because all he did was spout like the conservative nut party line that government is the enemy, that don't nobody owe you nothing, that the land is full of opportunity, and if you didn't take advantage of it when the getting was good, fuck you. All he did was just spout the party line. But the thing is that party line of his never was true, first of all, to begin with. And second of all, how much, like, not reading the room as a politician do you have to be when people are fucking literally freezing to death to say this shit? If I was in Texas, fam, if I was a citizen in Texas, I would be looking for motherfuckers like him. And we would have a conversation that would involve a long, long talk filled with a lot of pain.
Yeah. Matter of fact, I think it's my favorite club called the Club's Room.
Exactly.
Now, you laughing because you know what I mean.
No, I don't know what you mean, but I can infer.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying?
not going to say it.
I can infer.
I ain't going to say it on this broadcast.
No,
but,
I got you. I can infer. Yeah. I'd have to invite them to my special room for discussion.
Yeah. Just a little conversation.
Yeah, just Just give me 5 minutes of conversation. Let me have 5 minutes of your time, Mr. Mayor.
5 minutes. I need 10. Make sure you understand my point.
Mm.
But all jokes aside, when I saw that read that, I was like, wow. If you guys don't have your nigga wake up call now, I mean, 2021 has been another one big giant wake up call. If you ain't woken up now, I don't know what to tell you.
Man, you know what's crazy? See, we talked about this last year. Is that America is the nigga now.
Mm-hmm.
You know, previously it was just kind of us going through shit. But everybody in America is niggas now. Like everybody. And they can't stand it, fam. They killing themselves left and right. They can't stand it.
Oh, I know. The conversation I have with my wife and her friends and other people, they're like, "Can you believe this is happening?" I'm like, "Man, we've been seeing this for decades. This ain't nothing new for us.
This ain't new.
Matter of fact, this is kind of benign, if you ask me."
Man, let me tell you something. I love our brother Black Man. You know Black Man 903 is a farmer down in Texas, right? He got him a little herd. He got him some dirt. Shout out to the brother. That brother's such a hard charging, gotta go get it, I'll go and no quit brother. He didn't even know that his fellow Texans was going through the shit. When I was posting stuff up on Twitter, he was like, "What? People going out like that?" He's like, "I got a gun and I got food." Like, he's like, "I'm gonna make it." Like, the brother Black Man was like, "This, what is this? This ain't shit." You know what I'm saying? The thing is that America never wants to see us empowered to any degree. Because look at what we've been able to do with nothing. Like, seriously, look at what Black Americans have been able to accomplish with everybody's hand at our throats. With everybody's hand in our pockets. They don't want to see us empowered because 13% of the population would become the leaders in every goddamn area of human activity that you can imagine. We wouldn't have to take power, cease. We are power. But we are power only to the extent that we are people. You feel me, fam? The power lies in us coming together as a people. Wouldn't you agree?
Yes, I would. And I also would say that we are our own agency.
Mm-hmm.
You know, we're our own best advocacy. We are our own savior.
Exactly. Nobody can advocate like us for us.
If you're religious, there's no invisible man in the sky. The God, you are God. The God is in you. If you go that route.
Yep, fam. We're going to talk about it. My broadcast, I've already done a broadcast on religion quiet as he's kept. Nobody talks about it. Mm-hmm. But I did a whole broadcast where I talked about a Black theology. But I'm going to talk about religion again. Because believe it or not, one of the greatest weapons that's been used against us could be one of the ways that save us. If we change how we see it. If we view religion how it should be viewed by Black Americans. Don't worry, we're going to talk about it again. See, I promise you that, fam.
Well, I'll say this and I can get off. With this, all this immense confusion, there's a lot of opportunity that's presenting itself for us.
Yeah. You
just got to see it.
Yeah, absolutely.
And take action.
Absolutely. I mean there's so much work to be done, but there's so much opportunity to do the work. Right? Like, that's the part that I really want people to understand. This is no time for apathy. This is no time for giving up. There is so much that can be done that we need to have done. Not that none of this shit that I'm talking about, fam, is optional. We actually need to start developing conscious, and I don't mean that crazy, weird conscious bullshit, that fake woke conscious shit. No, I mean just aware, right? Eyes open, choice driven communities. We need to find our people and we need to work with our people. Do you understand where I'm coming from, Cease? Because if you don't, you will.
Agreed.
Yeah, we need to find out. This is not saying I want to leave any. I'm like Yeshua. I don't. It's not my will that any should perish. You know what I'm saying? I don't want to see any black people go through it. But not every black person, even though they share my heritage and lineage, is my people. Unity requires you finding your people and getting with those people and doing some shit. Because there's so much to be done. And don't worry, a plan is coming, bro. I promise you.
Yeah. But thanks for having me on, man.
Nah, man, don't thank me for that. You always welcome, fam.
Well, that's appreciated, but thank you anyway.
Well, I appreciate you, bruh. Hey, you stay easy, and thanks for the call.
Yeah, no problem. Later.
Peace. All right, fam. Great call by the brother Cease. 360-602-267. The floor is open, fam. We don't have to talk about what Brother Black just ranted about. We can talk about something else. I know there's a lot of you that have been wanting to call in on various topics. Here's your time to do it. 360-602-2667. Yeah, Alicia said religion is for liberation of the self versus to obey and submit to the whites. Agreed. But that also depends on what your definition of self is, right? If by self you mean you individually, we can have a discussion about that. Because like our esteemed ancestor and great warrior scholar John Henrik Clarke said, bury the man and continue to plan, right? There's no one individual among us who's greater than all of us. Black folk need to get that attitude back. We don't let individualized Negroes run the roost for way too long, seriously. Like, we don't let all these personalities have too much of a motherfucking voice. Black man, what's good, fam?
Hey, I'm not happy.
Fam, I've been waiting for you to call. That's why I said today is going to be an open forum, because I know you got a lot to talk about. Hit us with it, fam.
I am not happy at all. I am not happy at all. Y'all know when I was in my 20s, I started a union with the power company, and I really thought the power company was good to go, because you have a power company called SWEPCO, Wood County, and others, right? That run Texas, period. And
now you talking about power companies down there in Texas. Where you at?
Right.
Okay, gotcha. Right. Go on, fam.
And I never thought that we had that problem. I just did not at the time when I was working there in my 20s, right?
Right.
But now that I'm 51, I see, like, God, dog, we are not prepared. And it shocked me, I guess, for the most part, that we had that kind of problem. You told it earlier in a message that I had no idea there was a problem. I'm doing my thing. I'm cutting firewood. I'm in the house eating. If food gets low, I'm shooting the cow in the face and I'm gonna eat it. I'm
right. You gonna do what you gotta do.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. Like, but I didn't realize apartments and homes were going through that much damage. I did not realize.
When it's all done, brother Black man, it is going to be in the tens, if not hundreds of billions of dollars in insurance claims and government assistance, because the feds are gonna come in and hand out money hand over fist, or whatever the case may be.
Right. But my house is built in 78. And I did some things. I got PEX tubing. I got some copper still. But I got 2 hot water heaters. I got a septic system. I was just lost, and I'm so sorry for all those in Texas who did not have or were capable of that same standard. I really am. I'm just.
You know, Brother Black, man, the thing for me though, fam, because I too have a heart. The suffering down there in Texas is just mind-boggling. I hope though that Texans become sorry enough for themselves at this point. Like my thing. By the way, shout out to R. Gardner. I didn't even see you, sis. Welcome to the broadcast. But R. Gardner is right. She just went through the Texas freeze, and fam, the thing is that trust me when I tell you. Fuck the government, fuck the corporations, fuck all of them, you know what I'm saying? But at the same token, you can't be about fucking the people. The people is what sustains you when shit goes left, right? You can't, no person is an island. And you can't have a state full of 24 million islands. That's not how this shit works. Y'all either gonna be a state and y'all are going to care for each other to the point where y'all going to give up something to help others out. Or something like this is going to come again. And you're going to face the same bullshit again. Right? Like, I want Texans to wake up. It's okay to be the Lone Star State until you actually have to go it alone. That's like everybody say, everybody want to be a nigga until it's time to be a nigga.
But see, that's my part of my whole thing was that the firewood I chopped in the summer was not for winter wood. It was for my barbecue pit. The stuff that I do during the summer is not to prepare a lot of times for winter. It's just because it's part of maintenance on the house or the whole nine.
Yeah.
And, in my case, I'm not saying for everybody's case, because some that I've seen lived in apartments and they may not be able to have access to firewood.
Yeah.
And when you cut up firewood, it's expensive as well. But I had, an oak tree that fell down and I was cutting an oak tree up. I showed a picture on Twitter of a cedar tree that fell down. Well, that's not going to waste. That's going into the fireplace. If need be. You see what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And I think a lot of times that I am so out here and not paying attention to my people that I feel bad now. I feel real bad.
But you know what though, Black
because
man?
There have been
like I said, fam, it's some point. Okay, so like, here's the thing, right?
Right.
I think that Texans can keep their strong-willed individualist mindset. But they need to pass that power around to everybody. Like, why should apartment complexes not have access to firewood? Why shouldn't people that live in the city be able to keep chickens, goats, rabbits, cows, right? Like, my point is that it's one thing to have that mindset where, do it for self, take care of yourself, like take care of your people, take care of your family, right? Okay, cool. But then you have all these bullshit rules that say, that if you got a chicken in the city, somebody gonna get mad because the rooster crow, and they gonna make you get rid of your chickens.
No, but check this out though. In Florida, what runs rampant over there? Them goddamn chickens, roosters, and them iguanas. Is that right? Iguanas?
Yeah, iguanas. Yeah,
in Florida. Yeah, so it's not. They let the immigrants do this shit all day. Bringing these big ass fucking snakes and sell them and stuff and
man, no, I hear you, fam. Like, why? Okay, my brothers and sisters in Texas, y'all need to be on y'all's local government's ass wherever y'all are, wherever y'all predominate, and y'all should not stop until it don't matter where you live. You can be able to have food security by having rabbits, chickens, goats, whatever the fuck. And you better tell the police, if my rooster crow and somebody complain, go cuss they ass the fuck out, right? Yeah. Like, if y'all gonna have that attitude of being rugged, hard charging, all go and no quit individuals, I don't want to take that from you, right? If you don't want government, I don't want you to have a motherfucking government. But if you're not gonna have a government, make that deregulation shit active across the board. Get rid of building codes and all that other bullshit so that people could go out, get them a piece of dirt out in the middle of Diddy Why Diddy somewhere and put up a motherfucking earth home or an adobe home or cob home or build a house out of motherfucking old tires, glass bottles, and plastic if they want to, right? Get rid of all the regulation. Like, you got regulation in Texas, but it's regulation that hinders the people from actually being fucking liberated. Meanwhile, if you a corporation or you an oligarch, you a member of the plantation class, then they don't want no regulations, right? They don't want no government for them. The people of Texas have bought into an ideology that could work for everybody if it was up across the board, right? So in other words, that hard charging, all hellfire and spit and bail and wire attitude of Texans that makes y'all some of the baddest motherfuckers in this country, right? Y'all need to be advocating right now, to say, if these motherfuckers don't want regulation, what make you think we want regulation? We don't want your motherfucking building codes. We don't want your motherfucking telling us where we can't and can't have food. We don't want none of that shit. I should be able to go to Houston right now, in the middle of that motherfucker after all this. And Houstonites got farms right there in the middle of the motherfucking city with chickens every goddamn where, with motherfucking goats, with, cows and shit. I want them to be able to tear old buildings down and go out there and build a house from the dirt that's on site if they want to. If deregulation is good for the oligarchs, good for the motherfucking the kleptocrats, good for the politicians ain't gotta be accountable to you, fine. That's cool. Fuck the government. Let the people free.
The whole time I said this from the very beginning. When you're in an apartment complex, right, and you have property behind your apartment complex, why would you go out there and make a community garden and make that happen for yourselves?
Thank you. I just learned from Sister Alma that Houston doesn't have zoning, so you can do that shit. Houston ain't got no motherfucking excuses then.
No. And that's what my thing is. What, like I said, if it was real bad, and people was coming to my house and said, "Hey, I'm hungry," and my family's sitting there, "Hey, we need to eat. We have nothing. We're in Dallas. We're in Houston, and we have nothing." I'm shooting cows left and right. I'm making sure we got some meat, but I've been shooting shit since summertime and got shit in the freezer. And I don't mean to be like, I know a lot of people can't do that because they don't own the guns, they don't have the bullets, they don't have the know how to clean the animal. Mm-hmm. But but you caught me. You caught me off guard. It was a shock. I said, "What?" And I couldn't believe it. But when I looked, I felt so bad. Of what I said, I got chainsaws, I got saws, I got guns, I got knives. I have ways to cook and eat. Even if I gotta go out there on the grill, I can go out there and put some oak on the wood. On the grill, and cook some hogs.
Yep.
And most people are hogs. You don't eat hogs, but I can do it though. I can survive through what I go through. And my daughter was in there, and no longer, it's just me and her, in other words. But she was in there, and she was so happy because we had water in the kitchen, we had water in my bathroom, and toilet water. But the shower didn't work. So the day the shower came on, boom, we went there and got showers.
Yep.
And we didn't go nowhere, but we was funky, baby. So, okay, she's on her side of the house, I'm on my side of the house. And we was good, though. But I want everybody to know that if any point in time, for me, is my point of view, I had no idea, and I'm so sorry for what I even mentioned or said. But I did what I told you. I go out there and cut some wood with my chainsaw. I go out there and go fish. I go out there and go shoot something and trap something. Mm-hmm. And I'm not being a dick to y'all. I'm saying, do you want to learn from me?
Thank you. Take this brother's knowledge. I just put by the way, you're going to get some new followers because I just put your your Twitter handle up in the chat. So don't be surprised when people be hitting you up. Because I've been telling everybody that my brother Black Man is a resource. You are a treasure, fam. And the fact is, we need to appreciate brothers like you more. Don't even worry, fam. When this COVID shit's under control, you going to see me. I done already told the fam. I'm like, I got to go visit my brother Black Man. We got some work to do.
But I'm sitting there telling you, I would have no idea any of this if it wasn't for one man in my life, and that's my father.
Amen. Well, you gonna be a father to a tribe, bruh. I told you.
My dad.
You gonna be an elder.
My dad picked cotton. My dad shot rabbits. My uncle shot rabbits. They teach me, and they still alive to this day. I got one that's gone, but the rest of them are there. I got a 93-year-old aunt who's still there, and they would talk about this stuff all the time about white folks and walking across the street and all this disrespect for being a person. Being a person. I seen a cop shoot a dog in Emory, Texas. Emory, Texas. And you know what? He can't be a cop again. But you got the Breonna Taylor, and he can just leave and go get the. What is going on?
You know what's going on, fam? We haven't followed the advice of our ancestor. Our ancestor told us that these injustices will continue until we counter them with words or blows or both. And until that's a reality we're not going to escape, brother Black Man. We're not going to escape that. Like, I really wish we would just go ahead and make peace with the fact that the motherfuckers on January 6th, or I'm sorry, was it January 6th?
Yeah, it was.
On January 6th was not wrong. They just did it for the wrong, stupid fucking reasons. Right? They wasn't wrong. Like DC and all these other governments that have held the people back from liberation, from freedom, because we know what we need. That's the crazy part. If we were just actually free, if we lived in the land of the free, right? We already mostly some brave motherfuckers, right? We know what we need. We could get together and produce it. But as long as we got all the regulations and all the rules and all of that for the people, but none of that for the motherfucking owners and the plantation class, they can just do whatever the fuck they want. That's never gonna happen. That's never gonna stand. And maybe my people won't have the courage to march on Washington like the white folks do. They had the numbers. I get it. But damn it, we need to keep that same fucking energy. And we need to start putting in the work. We gotta find places where we can change the zoning laws and the rules and this, that, and the third, so that we can make it to where we can have what we need. Ain't nobody out here trying to build up something so that somebody can come along and scrape the cream off the top. I'm sick of fattening somebody else's fucking pockets. I want to build something to where everybody that's involved is secure. I want to build an actual community where the people benefit, where we live by consensus, where we make our choices together with love in our hearts, with grace for each other, where every chicken born, every egg harvested, every egg hatched, every plant that grows out of the ground isn't something to be sold to make some money, but something to be kept and stored to put in a belly, where every access that we have to each other is out of love, out of care, out of concern, because the pack survives, right?
No, dude, you got me. I don't disagree with any of that. That's what I did for mine when they were all here.
Yeah.
You know, my kids are all left now. Yeah. My daughter stays here with me now. But that was my whole thing. Let me go get some meat. Let me go get some of this. Let me go get some of that, and make sure we're good.
Yep. And that's the way it's going to be again. I promise you, bro. I promise you, man. You not only going to have people like myself show up to plumb your knowledge, but we're going to show up to help you with what you need too. We're going to build your house, and in turn, you're going to teach us how to build ours. and we're going to learn from each other, and we're going to love each other, and we're going to build each other, not to fatten each other's pockets, not to make a nigga rich, but to make a nigga's life full. That's the only measure of success. Am I alive today? Was I able to exhale today? Was I able to see my efforts bear fruit today? That's going to be the standard, fam, moving forward. Fuck everything else.
All right, man.
That's my
I want to thank you for taking my call.
Nah, man, fuck out of here. You my elder brother. You know I was gonna take your call no matter what. Besides, I've been trying to get your call for a minute, but you know I've been slipping, right? So I was like, nah, I gotta have a broadcast where my bruh call in. You see what I'm saying? Where he get to tell us.
But you know what? I was listening, but I was like, man, that's not my call for today. This was my call for today. I went through something. I made it through. I'm not saying that because I have power that I could not have made it through. I'm saying I'm glad I have power, and I'm feeling very sympathetic to all those who did not have power.
Well, bro, you got a lot of work down there to do, man. I mean, seriously, if you haven't thought about doing it, you might want to reach out to black folk in the areas that were really heavily affected by the freeze. They gonna need some brothers with some strong backs, some expertise, and just some love in their hearts, fam. They're gonna get enough bullshit from their lousy ass government blaming everybody except they self, and you know, rushing to take care of these corporations, but waiting to take care of them. They gonna need you, fam.
Yeah, that's why I felt so bad, because I'm realizing now that I can cut myself off and not worry, but I should be worried about those who are out there.
You're damn right. That's your family out there, fam. That's your tribe.
I did not. I'm sorry, dude. I just was like,
no, listen, you know what? Sorry is as sorry does. You are repenting, and that's exactly what needs to happen. We all need to repent. We all need to repent of our anti-blackness, our willingness to be these individual, hyper wolves and be way more white than white folks. Nah, we a tribe, we a people, and we only will survive to the extent that every one of us gets access to that same level of survival. Both of us, bruh, got a lot of repenting to do. That's why I do my broadcast every Saturday, because this is my form of repentance. This is my form of turning around and killing the white supremacists in me and giving everything to my fucking people, who are the only people on the planet that deserves my best, who deserves my brightest, who deserves everything I am. You feel me? So reach out to people in the chat, black men. I know Sister Strongflower, she's down there around that way. I know there's other people that are in the chat that are your fellow Texans. Start getting together with them. Y'all start putting together some shit. If you need me to boost it, I'll do that. Whatever you need from me, let me know. What's mine is yours. All right? But y'all start doing something down there.
I'm a Travis at this gun rally, so meeting ain't no big deal to me. That ain't no.
Yeah, fam. Be safe and do your thing, right? But my point is whether it's phone calls, whatever, start that process now, because COVID ain't gonna be here forever, and I guarantee you, we can either wait until COVID is over and hope that they're going to do something for us, or we can be preparing now so when COVID's over, all them opportunities that was open during the era of the Rona, we can hit the ground running and start fucking taking advantage of them. Now, I choose number 2.
Opportunities now?
That's my man. That's my man. Reach out to the people in chat, fam. Like I said, there's a lot already. They already talking and they ready to hook up. Let's start getting some shit cracking, fam. I love you, bro. Thanks for the call, man.
All right, man. Have a good night.
You too, bro. Peace. Yeah, fam. We all need to be starting to link up. I already told my brother Black Man, and to his undying credit, brother man already told me, wherever he at, I can be at. So I know he gonna treat me well. I'm gonna eat good. I'm gonna live good. But I'm gonna go down there and soak it up. I'm gonna share my knowledge with him. We not about to move with that brother. What we're about to do is we're about to build communities. We are about to build our brother's house for ourselves. I'm not gonna put it out there just yet, fam. But a plan is coming. But I need us to be all on the same mental sheet of music. We need to understand how white supremacy and racism work in the areas of education, of entertainment, of labor, of religion, of law, of politics, of sex, of war. We need to understand it all, and we need to all be on the same sheet of music. So when we move as one people. Caller from 910, it's your man Mark Black. What's your name? Where you calling from? And what's on your mind?
Hey, what's up, Mark Black?
What's good, fam?
Let me turn this YouTube off, man. My bad.
No, you good, fam?
Alright, man. How's it going, man?
Shit, hey, you know me. It was a time to preach today, I guess. So I had to get the sermon in.
Oh no, this was no doubt, man. Hey, every show I always come at you with the whole question: what do we do with traders? Right?
Yep.
Now, ironically, this movie just played out Judas and the Black Messiah.
Yep.
Correct?
Yep.
Now, here's the thing with this movie. And it pissed me off because of, in my opinion, how real it is and what my concerns are for organizations, particularly black organizations, which is why, you know, a lot of people who refer to themselves as, you know, FBA had issues with ADOS being an organization. We had issues with it because of what happened with Fred Hampton. You know what I mean? We had issues with that because of what happened with him. Like, just all the people who was infiltrating due to the COINTEL program.
Yeah.
Like, it happened. It happened. And the movie itself pissed me off because it was telling the movie from a perspective of a trader.
Yeah.
That's not something that's fiction. That's real. It happens. So, like, when you don't understand white supremacy, when you don't understand that type of stuff, yeah, it's nothing for you to infiltrate an organization, whether they hold something over your head or not. It got to a point to where they was paying the brothers. It got to a point to where they was paying them. Now, I don't know how accurate that is, but I do know that certain people who don't understand white supremacy, or like you said, don't have principles, they're willing to bend for anything, any and everything. And that the movie was showing a whole bunch of shit that I just didn't agree with. I don't know if Fred Hampton was really doing that. He was building this what do you call it, a rainbow coalition.
So let me run that down to you, because that, I'll be honest with you, that I studied in great detail, and that is a misnomer, right? What Fred Hampton was doing was understanding the first rule of politics, and that is you meet people where you have commonalities. Now let me run it down to you. At the time in Chicago, right, when the brother was in his prime, in his heyday, right, you were already starting to see in Chicago the farming out of jobs out from the urban core, right? So even white boys that lived in the urban core were struggling, right? Not to say they had it worse off than black folk, but they were starting to feel the hit too, right? Then you got some migration of Latinos and shit, specifically like Puerto Ricans and stuff like that into Chicago too, right? Now, what Fred Hampton realized was that black people could try and go everything alone and have everybody else against them, because what's one of the rules of white supremacy in America? You can come here and have a decent life no matter where you come from, but you have to buy into white supremacy and racism and white domination. You have to buy in to the ethos of putting the black people on the bottom, right? Now, what Fred Hampton done was, instead of coming at them on some morality play shit, where he said, look at what's happening to us black people and how bad it is. And, you know, we struggling and this, that, and the third, because they don't give a shit about that. Fred Hampton appealed to their self-interest. Fred Hampton told these other groups that, hey, our uplift is your uplift, and this is why. These people didn't just follow Fred Hampton because he talked good. Fred Hampton had plans that showed that everybody could get theirs, but black people could get theirs too, right? That was what made him a threat, which is why they had to kill him. Remember, one of the main goals in the COINTELPRO program was to prevent the rise of what was termed a Black Messiah. Thus the title of the movie, right? Judas and the Black Messiah. Fred Hampton was a threat because Fred Hampton wasn't coming to white folks on some y'all should feel bad about what y'all doing to us shit. He wasn't coming to Latinos talking about black and brown pride and that bullshit. No. He came to them appealing to their self-interest. He said our self-interest and y'all self-interest align here, 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 and here. So if you trying to get yours, you better have damn well helped me to get mine. And they bought in. These groups was like, shit, you right. And you know what's really crazy about it? Is that Fred Hampton wasn't even the only one that did shit like that. Right? Elijah Muhammad it was clear history that Elijah Muhammad had meetings with the Ku Klux Klan. Right? And the land that he was able to acquire down in Georgia due to his agreement with the Klan, the nation still has today. Right? You don't have to necessarily be aligned with someone in order to appeal to their self-interest and for them to also help you to work in your own self-interest. I'll give you a case in point that nobody knows about. You familiar with the brother Phil Scott? Used to be the Advice show. He's African Diaspora News or some shit like that now, right?
Yeah, I'm familiar with him.
You familiar with him? Okay.
Yes, sir.
This brother got an email from some white supremacists, some white separatists that are up here in the Pacific Northwest. He read the email out on his show. The email said, and I'm going to paraphrase because I don't remember exactly word for word, but if you're interested, you can look for the broadcast. But the email basically said that, Phil Scott, we are white separatists. We don't want to be around black folk, but we don't hate y'all. Y'all don't want to be around us. We are willing to have discussions with you on how we can help further your goals so y'all can have y'all's own shit and leave us the fuck alone. And this is an organized group of white separatists that sent Phil Scott. They said, you have a large audience. I think our interests can align. We are willing to work with you in this particular area for your self-interest and for ours.
Do you know, I would say this. The reason why they was on that type of tip was because they know, and this is from me learning from Dr. Cress Wilson, they know that us as black people literally can fuck them out of existence.
Oh, no doubt.
You see what I mean?
No doubt. But regardless of that, right? I'm right there with you. Trust me, you and I are always on the same sheet of music when it comes to that shit, right? You know I love me some Frances Cress Welsing. I'm mourning her death like she was a member of my own family, right? So, but to make a larger point, Phil Scott reads out this email. And then he said to his audience, and this is at the time when he had hundreds of thousands, if not, because I think he's somewhere in the millions of subscribers now, right? But he was still in the upper hundreds of thousands of black people watch this broadcast. And he said, now you see, family, I don't be dealing with no white supremacists. What? What you mean you not? So let me get this straight. They reach out to you with because that was a risky move, believe it or not, by them white supremacists. Now we see what's happening after the 60s shit, right? Like, that was a risky ass move. They reached out to him because they saw he had a platform that would actually be able to move enough black people to get on board a plan for our common interest. Now, that doesn't mean we were friends. That doesn't mean we were allies. That wouldn't mean we were buddies. That don't mean that we were going to live all up under each other and sing kumbaya and shit. But these white supremacists, these white separatists, they classified themselves as that, said that we are willing to work with black leadership so that y'all can grow, be safe, have y'all's own shit, and stay the fuck away from us. And Phil Scott used that opportunity. I'm sorry?
That's a simple case of Phil using his emotions over logic.
Bang! Boom! I'm glad I'm not the only one that saw that. So Phil used that to establish his conscious black bona fides. Well, fuck that. Man, if that, let them same white supremacists reach out to Mark Black and see what I'm able to fucking put together working with them. We ain't gotta be buddies. We ain't gotta be pals. We ain't gotta be doonies. But where our interests align, I can use them and they can use me.
I'm 100% in agreement with that. I am. See, are you familiar with the movie Forrest Gump?
Fuck yeah, I'm familiar with Forrest Gump. It's one of my favorite movies.
All right, and I told you how movies, has all type of movies have some propaganda. The real good ones always have a little more truth than others. You know what I mean? And Forrest Gump sparked something in me because I always wondered, why was Jimmy and the hippies chilling with the Black Panther Party? What was that about? And then, like, when I was going further down the rabbit hole and the Charles Manson murders, and I seen the word pig, the pig and blood all over the walls, I'm thinking to myself again, because a lot of people's not connecting those dots.
Yeah.
And this is not no conspiracy, but it is what it is. Because I felt like the Black Panthers had all these other type of groups, because mind you, it was an Asian dude who was supplying the Black Panthers with guns, but yet he was the one informing on them as well. It was an Asian dude who did that as well. Mm-hmm. And the hippies, as far as like the whole Charles Manson thing, they was up under the Black Panthers, but they was trying to undermine us and paint us as this like evil organization.
Right? Because you could argue that, which I think might be a stretch as far as the Manson family goes. Is Manson was just a twisted motherfucker, but you did have white groups that affiliated strongly with the Black Power movement. For example, you have the Students for a Democratic Society, the only motherfucking group during the Civil Rights era that actually attacked a federal building, fam. These motherfuckers blew up a federal building. Okay, they wasn't no hoes. You see what I'm saying? Look up SDS. The Students for a Democratic Society. Wait a minute. Here's another one for you. Shout out to our beloved and esteemed sister, Asada Shakur. Who do you think busted her out the joint? Our sister's free today because a group of white revolutionaries busted in the joint and helped her escape. My point is this. Yes, we need to be mindful of when we're getting played. We need to be mindful of when the motherfuckers is trying to entrap us. Yes, we need to do our due diligence. However, what we don't need to do is to think that everybody gotta either be our friend or our open out. Some of those white folks that claim to be our biggest friends are the ones that are stabbing us in the back. Some of the ones that claim to be the most pro-black is the ones that sell us out the fastest. I would much rather deal upright and honestly with some motherfucking neo-Nazis who make it clear that, hey, this is where our interests align, but everything else, I'm against you. I'd rather know that and operate from that mindset, so I know, hey, wherever it bleeds over into their interest over here, we're going to have a problem and I need to address that. But wherever it's over here, I don't have to worry about the motherfuckers. You see what I'm saying? Phil Scott did not use his goddamn brain. He had hundreds of thousands of Negroes that had he had just a confab, and this was pre-COVID, he could have had a confab with these dudes. Just a phone call. Just to hear what they got to say. Ask questions. He does all these interviews and shit. Why didn't you interview them? Asking them, so hey, what's your connections? Who's your sources? What resources you got access to? What do you guys really stand for? What are you on? What do you think you can help us with? You know, like an interviewer, like somebody who's in journalism. And he could have brought all that information back to our people and showed us that we actually could have had a shot at making connections and moves with people who see our interests and who see their own. In America, fam, nobody is going to sacrifice for black people. That's a fact. Nobody's going to sacrifice shit for black people. The only way that Fred Hampton discovered, that Elijah Muhammad discovered, and other groups discovered, the only way that we're going to get other people to be truly on our team is to appeal to their self-interest too. We can't be going around talking this, oh, one day I have a dream. And I'm not knocking Martin Luther King, but that morality tale bullshit, white folks didn't care about none of that. It wasn't until Martin Luther King started talking about the war in Vietnam and started talking about poor people in general and started talking about reparations and started talking about connecting the greater ties of white supremacy to the fuckery that everybody kind of goes through under white supremacy, that they had to kill his ass. When it was just him marching for Negroes, didn't nobody give a fuck about Martin Luther King? You dig? Nobody gave a fuck about Martin Luther King. When he was just talking about Negroes, nobody didn't give a shit. But as soon as he started letting people know that white supremacy don't just fuck black people, it fucks y'all too. And this is how it's fucking y'all, by sending y'all off to die in foreign ass wars, by eating up all your tax money on bullshit boondoggles, by corporatism and all this other stuff. That's when he became a threat, because again, COINTELPRO's whole thing was that to prevent the rise of a black messiah. Now, how do we combat? Because you bring it up every time you call, and I finally have an answer for you. So I appreciate you constantly staying on my ass. Here's the question. How then do we combat the COINTELPRO strategy? And the answer is really simple, fam. When I say it to you, you're going to be like, oh, shit. But I want to hear what your answer is. How do we combat their strategy?
Oh, you asking me first?
I'm asking you first, fam.
I would say, man, we combat it by all of us having a code, man. I always talk about white supremacy, and I want to define what code is. I may not be able to be as articulate as you need me to be, but I could give you enough examples as to what I feel is being on code is. And my example of being on code is when, my example of being on code is when a brother, is when I look at another brother, or I can avoid a potential beef with another brother. And I'm not saying beef, or I can avoid killing another brother because of our petty differences.
Yeah.
You see what I mean?
Yeah.
That's my version of being on code. My version of being on code is if there's a time where, you know, the government come at me to snitch on a group of people, or let's just say get close to a brother like you, just so I can have dirt on you to put you in prison, I'd rather take that rap and let everybody know, like, yeah, you know, I took that rap, whatever. That's my version of being on code. I just feel as though a lot of people, a lot of men, specifically men, I told you last time, I'm not worried about women because they're going to follow suit. But my thing is with men, a lot of black men don't have principles that they stand on. And it starts at an early age. If you have principles that you stand on and you understand knowledge of self, it don't have to be this whole, like you said, faith, conscience, woke, Kundalini thing. It could
I
be
say
more
take
so
over
just
one of police
understanding your
forces.
history.
ICE is ideal.
Yeah, I'm sorry. That was somebody's comment read now, fam. Go on, continue.
Yeah. If you understand knowledge of self and knowledge of history, and you have principles of self, that's how I feel like you can combat COINTELPRO.
Okay,
Because
I got you. Now, what you're talking about is longer term. What I'm talking about, we can start doing today.
Okay.
So I'm with you. You said nothing wrong. I absolutely agree 100 motherfucking %. But what I'm about to say to you right now is something that we can do today. We combat COINTELPRO by making every black person the black messiah. Their whole plan behind COINTELPRO is to prevent the rise of somebody who can organize us all, right? Which is why they go after respected leaders and shit. FBA wasn't wrong by saying that certain types of organizations lends to easier infiltration and takedown of different individuals, leadership, and so on and so forth, right?
Yeah,
however,
right.
FBA is not necessarily right in that we should not organize. We need to all become the black messiah that COINTELPRO feared in that document. We all need to make more advocates every single day. Like you said, now the process by how we do that, getting on code and doing other stuff like what you talked about, that's the process. But we all have to be the fucking saviors our people have been waiting for. They are afraid of the rise of a black messiah, then damn it, I say we give them their ultimate fear by making every motherfucking black person we are able to, that we come across, a black messiah. We make all of us the black messiah. We make all of us empowered. We make all of us leaders. All of us have the capability to be as radical or as conservative as needed. We need to take people like Phil Scott to task for pretending that his feelings about white supremacy trumps the reality of what we can do even with white supremacists and white separatists. You feel me? He was out of pocket. He was off code.
Are you referring to a leaderless movement?
I'm referring to a leaderful movement.
A leaderful movement, okay.
Now, what's the difference, you ask, right? Because ostensibly from the outside, they look the same. Because a leaderless movement is everybody just kind of doing their own thing, right? A leaderful movement is a bunch of people doing their own thing in coordination with everybody else doing their own thing. That's the difference. When you start talking about leaderless movements, the problem becomes dissipation, right? You have all these different efforts being shunted in all these different directions, but with no coordination. And so all you have to do is just play a game, a war of attrition, right? You just wait the Negroes out. But if everybody was doing their own thing while coordinating with everybody else doing their own thing, then guess what we have? We have ties that bind. So they might try to hit you over here, but you can say, oh, no. I'm connected with my brother over here. And while he's doing that, he can come support me real quick while I bash these motherfuckers over here. Then we see the brother over there say, oh, yeah, that brother had this project. But look, they're trying to play that fuckery. Let's go and help our brother out. We coordinate. We need to create leaderful movements, not leaderless.
I agree with that. I do. What would white supremacy do to you? Is that a leaderful movement? A leaderless movement? What is that to you?
I'm sorry, ask your question again. I couldn't hear you.
White supremacy. What is that? A leaderless? A leaderful movement?
It's a leaderful movement. Of course, white supremacy is a leaderful movement. Think about it. At any point, at any time, in any location, under any circumstances, anyone classified as white is empowered to be a white supremacist. It doesn't matter if he's homeless or he's a rich banker. It doesn't matter if he's Christian, Jew, Muslim. It doesn't matter if he's gay, straight. It don't matter if he's educated or uneducated. White supremacy is a leader-full movement. They've made sure to empower every person classified as white to empower and direct white supremacy. They have no issue with any white person furthering the goal of white supremacy. Matter of fact, Neely Fuller talks about this when he mentions VGQ. Victims guaranteed qualification, meaning that however any victim of white supremacy chooses to combat white supremacy, none of us other victims of white supremacy have any right to comment on it. Because that is a decision made by that person in that moment, understanding their circumstances, and thus they are the ones that have every right to lead that push at that point, at that time. Period. The only way we combat white supremacy is to create leader-full movements, meaning that even though it appears that everybody's kind of doing their own little combat with white supremacy, we're coordinating using principles, using code, being on code, using principles, using our mores, our folkways, our heritage, and our lineage, and all this other stuff, all these intangible ties that direct our actions, even if our actions are with other people or without other people. In other words, we need to create a whole black nation of black messiahs.
I honestly think that me and you is on the same page with what we're saying. I guess it's the differences in words that we're using, but we're on the same page.
Yeah, fair enough, fam. I mean, you might express it differently, but I think you understand where I'm coming from.
Exactly. We want to make it to where you can't kill. You want to make it to where you can't kill the head of a movement and then the movement dies out.
Exactly. If you kill Joe Biden, will it kill white supremacy?
No, it wouldn't at all. It'll just keep flowing. Like
Boom.
it never happened.
So if they kill Mark Black, should it kill our push for justice and reparation and repair and remediation? No.
Nah, you sure got to keep going.
Bury the man and continue to plan. That's it.
Sure got to keep going. So you know what? I agree with you 100%. I really do. I do. That's like I said. Whether I agree with you or disagree with you, my number one thing is the intent behind what you're saying.
Absolutely,
you know what I mean?
fam. Absolutely. And again, I expect that
me.
when you call, sometimes you're not going to agree. But you know what? Don't we always have a discussion? Don't we always get to a point that we understand each other? That's what it's all about, fam. See what we doing right now, bruh? That right there is being on code. There's grace from you. There's grace from me. We're expecting, when we connect with each other, to better each other. That's the thing. That's the goal. In this call, when you leave, you are just as capable of being that black messiah as I am. That's the greatest fear. Not the rise of one, but the rise of all of us as the black messiah. That's why I continually say, you are the savior we've been waiting for. And I am the savior you've been waiting for.
I would say more than that. I would say the code is the savior. You see what I mean?
Absolutely. Because the code can't die.
The code can't die. You can kill me, but you can't kill the code.
Facts. You can corrupt the shit out of me. At least I hope you can't. But I'm certain it's possible. But you can't corrupt the code. You can't corrupt our principles. You can't corrupt justice. You can't. You know. Martin Luther King said something I thought was really profound.
What?
He said that the arc of the universe is long, but it bends towards justice. In other words, no matter how it seems like we're far away from justice right now, right? Let time keep progressing. It's like a parabola. It's like a bullet fired up, goes up, then gravity takes hold of it and starts to pull it down. Eventually, even if you shot it straight up, if you aimed it just right, it's still going to hit the target. You dig?
Right.
But we have to...
You asked me a question earlier.
Go ahead, fam.
You asked me, what should we do about COINTELPRO program
Mm-hmm.
on traders. I say people they need to make a factual movie on Winnie Mandela. You know what I mean? Like,
Trust me
show
on
what
that
she
one.
did to the
I
traders.
got you on that one. I know exactly what you're referring to because I love
You
how the
see what I
ANC
mean?
dealt with traders.
Right. Winnie Mandela, that's the truth.
Now,
right
we don't
there.
need to speak
That's
that
the truth.
out. We don't need to
Nah.
speak that out. What we need to do is we
Nah.
need to propagandize each other to the point where that's not even an option that we leave off the table.
Right.
You feel me? Like, we don't have to, in other words, we need to get that to the point that what's known doesn't have to be spoken about.
Oh, yeah, that's a fact.
You see what I'm saying? So I'm right there with you. But I'm saying we got work to do to get our people to where that's not even a discussion. That just happens.
This is what kills me, though. When you watch reviews, because that's what I do. I watch a lot of reviews on this movie just to get a pulse on what the black community as a whole think about when it comes to, like, subject matters like
Yeah.
this. And when you have people showing any type of sympathy for the trader, like, oh, he must be stressed, or, oh, man, he must be going through it, betraying his brother like that. In my head, I'm thinking to myself, like, why are we at the point to where we showing sympathy for a trader? Why are we showing sympathy for traders? Traders, like you said, with known don't have to be said.
A short drop and a sudden stop.
Yeah.
I'm right there with you. But fam, the thing is that you've got a people that have been propagandized through their religious practices and belief to love even those that fucking hate them. But what they failed to teach, because Yeshua wasn't wrong. Love your enemies. But love in action doesn't mean allowance. Right? If you love your kids, you love your kids. Are you going to let your kids stick a fork in a light socket?
Nah.
No, you're going to go over there and snatch it out of their hand. And if you have to, you'll snatch their ass up off the floor. You don't hate them. You love them. You would die for them.
Right.
But you're not going to let them stick their motherfucking metal fork into a light socket. Why? Because that shit's going to kill them. Right? Love is not allowance. You love your enemies, but you whoop they motherfucking ass because that's what enemies are asking for. Enemies are asking you for you to kick their ass. So give them what they're asking for. Because if they wasn't asking for that, they wouldn't be your enemies.
Yeah, that's a fact.
I'm just saying, you can sit here and say, I love my enemies. Fine. Love your enemies. I don't have a problem with that. But your enemies need that. They need love in action. And what that means is that when your enemies are out of pocket, when they're putting you and everybody else in danger, that you address them motherfuckers. And you do it post haste. And you do it in all the love that you got in you. I love America, and I will whoop America's motherfucking ass. Because love is not allowance.
Right. I see, and that's the thing, man. I'm so big on messages being sent out through anything. So when a mother to a slain child goes on national television, like in that movie American Scan.
That movie, man, don't get me started.
You see what I mean?
That movie, man, again, I was so motherfucking mad.
I was too. I was too, man. Like that it boils my blood because it's the truth. It's a sad truth about us, but it's the truth. And I know, like, I don't want to be this person who's always talking about our issues, but before we get to these solutions, we got to break down what the problem is within our communities.
Yeah, but the crazy part is, fam, we know what the problem is. Like, you know, this is a thing that I have an issue with when it comes to us as black folk, right? I don't usually tend to criticize us like some do because I try to show a lot of grace. But I also know that love is not allowance. And so it's time for a paddling from Brother Black. And that is that black people are too fucking prone to analysis paralysis. Now, what is that? Analysis paralysis is simple. we will hash over and rehash and then flip over and examine from another angle and then twist it around and flip it over and look at it from another angle, then pause, then come back to the discussion later over the same fucking issues, but we never get around to talking about the solutions to the problems. Black people are good at getting together and confabbing about what the fuck is going on with us. We know more about our issues than probably any. If you took a group of white folks and asked them, what are the problems that white folk have? They would sit there for 5 minutes like, we got problems? Like, seriously, if you put a group of white folks in a room and said, what are some of the problems that white folks had? You might have one to talk about some political shit and be like, well, I got a problem with them liberals, So you're going to have somebody who speak up on maybe something political or whatever the case may be.
I got to cut you off there, Brother Bat.
Go ahead.
I disagree with white folks. What you said about them. I feel as though the difference between them and us, they have no problem admitting when they got their asses kicked. They have no problem admitting when they took an L.
Fam, where you live? Texas just held a big ass L for a week, and them white folks down there is scrambling to cast blame out like they were broadcasting that shit like it's fertilizer. Them motherfuckers never ever want to admit they hold an L.
I'm not saying that they'll broadcast it out there. I'm not saying that, but I'm saying, like, from what I was told, white supremacists, they know when they hold L's and they learn from it. They know when they hold L's and they learn from it.
Fam, my point is that are they learning? Like, this is not the first. Okay, so white supremacists will hold an L, understand that they took an L, and learn from it, right? And they'll iterate according to what you said. Okay, cool. Let's look at that.
Right.
Texas went through some shit with their power grid back in 2011. They did an investigation, right? So, they did the casting out of blame everywhere. Then they finally got down and looking at what the fuck the problem was. And it was suggested that they need more regulatory control over the power providers there, especially in the area of weatherization. Back in 2011, when they had to bum power from Mexico in order to power Texas, okay? Did they learn from that? They held an L. They fucked up. People lost their jobs, heads rolled, people's reputations got shit on. They held an L. In 2021, can we say that they learned from what happened to them in 2011?
I'm talking. Well, all right. Let me clarify that. When I said they know when they hold L's, I'm talking about against us. What you're talking about is what I call white and white crime.
No, I feel you, right? But here's the thing. Why is it that you seem to think that they know when they hold the L and they learn from it, but we can't do that? My point is let's say you're right. You're absolutely right. Okay, I'll even give it to you. That white folks will learn, oh shit, the niggas got us this time. And they'll tighten shit up. But we understand that white folks aren't innovative. They just iterate. They repeat the same shit, but in a different name, or like they ended slavery, but then they started convict leasing, right? They ended the slave codes, but then they instituted the black codes, right? They couldn't do the black codes, so then they instituted sharecropping and ripping you off at the farmer's store. And they couldn't keep the convict leasing going, so they instituted mass incarceration through the drug war and shit like that. They don't innovate. We keep getting beat up by the same shit that our ancestors got beat up by. That shows they don't iterate. That they don't innovate. They're not like these mastermind motherfuckers. They will hold an L from us. But they know that once they hold the L, now here's where you can indict us for, right? So let's say that black people give America a big fucking L tomorrow. Black folk will celebrate, talk shit, throw parties, and act like that the war's over. Now, I do indict our people for that. We'll hand white folks a bit of what for. We'll give them an ass whooping. And then act like we done actually done something that ends the whole situation between us and them. Never realizing that we might have beat them today, but the fight still continues. They still white supremacists. You dig where I'm coming from? They gonna be white supremacists tomorrow after we done celebrated and ate up all the barbecue and danced and fucked all night. They gonna still be white supremacists tomorrow. So did we really win anything? No. We need to just continue to fight until the fight is done. That's it really, and that's all. And the best part about it is our experience forces us to be innovative, right? We can't all the time assume that doing the same thing the same old way is going to have any effect. Black folk understand that in order to beat them, we have to innovate. We don't have, iteration is a luxury, right? When you are in power, you can iterate and get away with it. But when you're the one that's the undercast, you have to think of innovative shit. You have to constantly be changing the strategy and changing the game up, right? Because the thing is that what black people need to understand about white supremacy is that we can try 50,000 different ways to combat white supremacy and fail. But white supremacy can only fail once. They have to get it right every single fucking time. You understand where I'm coming from? They only can hold one real L. Because once they hold that L, white supremacy is done. If they hold the L that defeats white supremacy, then they're finished. But we can make mistake on top of mistake. We can try this strategy. If it didn't work, and try something else. We can innovate. We can come up with new and different ways. We don't have to be bound by analysis paralysis. If we could try a way, if that works, great. If it don't, we do something else. We can be innovative. We can try 50,000 times and fail. But if they fail to protect white supremacy once, they're finished. That gives us truly over time the advantage.
I agree with you. I do. That's why I said that white supremacists or the system on white supremacy is geniuses in my mind. And I say that sincerely. Cowards, yes. Assholes, yes. Immoral, yes. But geniuses, they have no choice but to be. They have no choice but to be. What they do for us, what they do with us, or how they victimize us, they do it in a way to where they give us the illusion of an exit strategy. That way we don't 100% get buck on them. Because for every Mark Black or every person like myself, you got a whole flock of family members saying, man, he's on that whole type shit. Yeah. Man, he's on that black empowerment shit. There he go with that bullshit. There he go with that whole racist shit. That racist statement. And that's our own people saying that. So they're geniuses. Us, we ignore the problem. Too many of us ignore the problem. Not all of us, but too many of us ignore it.
I wouldn't say that makes them geniuses, though. That's like, okay, so Donald Trump was president and made a bunch of mistakes and shit like that, right? Now, Joe Biden is president, and the only thing he ran on was, I'm not Trump. But that's such a low fucking bar that meeting that standard doesn't mean anything, right? It doesn't make Biden this political wizard to have beaten Donald Trump. Just because white supremacy takes advantage of the fact that we become apathetic, that we won't ask tough questions, that we don't hold motherfuckers to account and so on and so forth doesn't make them geniuses. That just means that we're not adhering to a damn righteous standard, right? Because you know what I'm saying? We're earthworms doesn't make them, hawks. That just means that they're, we're earthworms and they're dung beetles. They can fly over the top of an earthworm, but that's still stuck to the ground. You see what I'm saying? So, no, I'm not going to sit here and say that white folks are these mad 4D chess playing geniuses, because if they was, their lives would be heaven, and it ain't. The average white motherfucker in this country is literally one paycheck away from being a nigga. And they're starting to wake up and realize that fact, right? Like one paycheck away from pure niggerdom. Okay? They're starting to wake up and understand that fact. And guess what their response is? Nothing. They're frozen in the fucking place. A lot of them are killing themselves. A lot of them doping themselves into fucking oblivion and so on and so forth. They don't have the answers, just like a lot of us don't have the answers. Now, what they do have is they're empowered. They're empowered to all operate under the same auspices of the same ideas. Like you said, a code. We need to make the code our leader, and we need to operate accordingly, period. And everybody needs to commit to that. And to the extent that we do not, we continue face what we face. But I'm not going to sit here and whine because of a group of Negroes that still think Barack Obama was the second coming. You know what I'm saying? I don't have time for them. There's too much work that needs to be done. And at some point, you just have to know when to fish or when to cut bait, right? My words are for those who my words are for those who got ears to hear and eyes to see. If that's not you, no matter what I say, you're not hearing shit no way. You're not seeing nothing anyway, right? So, we will try to do what we can to help as many black folk as we can, because that's what we do, right? That's our calling, if you will. But you can bring a horse to the water, but you can't open up their mouth and shove the water in and make their ass drink the shit. So I wouldn't beat yourself up too bad about it, fam. Sure, let those black folks still think that operating in the way that they've been told by white supremacy is gonna be the way that they'll have their wake up call. Everybody gets theirs. Mine was when Trayvon was murdered. I'm sorry that it took the death of my little brother to wake me up fully, right? To open my eyes to really what was cracking. But that's what it took. I'm ashamed of that, but it's facts. We all have a wake up moment, bro.
Hey, we do. We all do, man. I wasn't always like this. I really wasn't.
Yep. And that's not surprising either. Like I said, fam, most of my work is repentance. I do what I do because I owe y'all. I owe y'all a debt of all these years of neglect, of all these years of not putting you first, of all these years of not understanding just what I need to understand to be able to be an effective ally and advocate and brother and friend and tribesman to you. My work is repentance. So is yours.
Right.
We are the Black Messiah, fam.
Oh, yeah. Hey, as long as we on code, man, hey, like I said, everything is so cool. That's the one thing I care about is everybody being on code.
We'll get there, fam. Trust me, we'll get there. We will get there, fam.
Hey, I always love the conversations, man.
As do I, brother. It's always a pleasure.
Yes, sir. Well, I wish you the best, man. One love.
One love, brother. Peace. Great call from the brother, fam. Yeah, we are going to learn one way or the other one that we either make everybody a Messiah or we will never find the Messiah. If you are waiting on a founder, a leader, an organization, a headquarters to do work, I pity you. I really do. I pity you. Because right now, you have brothers and sisters who are working their asses off, who are wringing their brains dry, who stay up late at night and get up early in the morning, dreaming, plotting, planning, scheming ways to set you free. And all they ask is that you join with them and you be the Messiah they've been waiting for. Right? So, fam, I'm gonna go ahead and wrap it up. Wow, what a broadcast! But it's been hella worth it. Fam, a plan is coming, and I'm not gonna sit here and pretend I have all the answers. I'm going to get whoever's interested together, and we are going to actually consciously, willfully do something. And we're not gonna talk about it. We're not going to sit here and brag about it. We're not going to sit here and play games where we try to one up this person and one up that person. We're not going to ask nobody's permission. We're not looking for anybody's fucking blessing. We don't need to have no drama or no beef with nobody. We're not looking for critiques and reviews. What we're going to do is we're going to actually do something. And then when it's a fait accompli, when it's a done deal, we will show you what we've done and argue that. Argue that. Beef with that. Beef when the plan has been put into place and accomplished. I dare you. Because too many people is doing too much of this and not enough of this. Many hands make the work light. Many messiahs provide much salvation. You are the black messiah, and so am I. That's the only way. That's the thing that puts fear in the hearts of all of COINTELPRO. Not the rise of one black messiah, but the rise of millions. Y'all ready? I'm ready. You ready? Y'all ready for the rise of the messiah? Y'all ready for the rise of the saviors, fam? Because it's been long past time. The Savior has returned. And guess what? The Savior is pissed. And today is the day of judgment. I'm telling you, fam. It's time for the rise of the Messiah. I'm ready. I'm ready. The Messiah is here. And the Messiah is pissed. And we about to start separating the motherfucking goats and the sheep. We about to do all of that. I promise you. Fam, I love y'all. Thank y'all so much for spending your Saturday with me. I will be back next week. I think I will go ahead and do the education broadcast next week, right? So we'll be discussing education under white supremacy and what our solutions are under education. We're going to be discussing what education really is, because again, we labor under a bunch of misapprehensions. We're going to break it down, and when I'm done, we will know what education should be for us, the tribe, the descendants of the freedmen, the Black American descendants of chattel slavery, right? So fam, enjoy your weekend. To my people in Texas, those of you that went through it, my heart is with you. blackoutcastmedia@gmail. If there's anything that I can do to help you, let me know. And if I can call it, it's yours. What's mine is yours. What's yours is mine. We a family. We people, right? We have so much to do. So much to get ready for. 2021 is about to be a motherfucker. Y'all just didn't know it. And I'm not talking about in a bad way. I'm talking about in a good way. Watch. Just you watch and wait. So fam, until next time, as always, I want to say to you that I wish you all love, peace, prosperity, and power. Real power to our people.